And we're live. Welcome, everyone, to what is now the Season 3 premiere of the Worldwide Wednesday podcast. I'm your host, Shiny.
And I'm Sovereign. And we decided to do it because, you know what, started the second half of the new year, and our second break that we've had to take was imposed by COVID yet again.
Yep. So just like how COVID ended Season 1, COVID ended Season 2. But we're back, and we're healthy. Mostly. And so, to commemorate it, we will have a toast to Season 3 and to many more.
So, at this point, we've got a lot of news to cover. Let's just go ahead and talk about the easiest one to talk about.
Yes.
Which would be Dragon Ball Super Chapter 85.
85?
Yeah.
Jeez, we're only like a year and a quarter away from 100 chapters of Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty insane.
Honestly, it's kind of insane to think about. Was it 85?
I think it is.
That's kind of surprising, actually, considering the Tournament of Power arc should have been a lot longer.
But then again, you know how the manga version of Tournament of Power was.
Oh yeah, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, that one wasn't all that good. But post-tournament, the manga post-Tournament of Power, though, that shit's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah, post-Tournament of Power, manga's been great. Pre-Tournament of Power, I would have said the anime was better.
Yeah.
I have warmed up a bit to the manga's version of the Future Trunks arc after rereading it. But upon rereading the Tournament of Power, cannot say that the manga version was better than the anime.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's get in with the chapter.
So, we have another fight chapter, which, honestly, I will say, fights are still looking pretty good.
Yeah. Gas is developing his powers a lot now. He now is able to use instant transmission on other people without touching them, which is something we've never seen before.
Yeah, definitely. Just the ability to just grab Vegeta and I'm just gonna toss you that way now.
I know. That's actually kind of broken. Think about it for a second. Because, as you know, presumably Gas can create clones like Granola can create clones. As a result of the... Well, given the end of the chapter, he may not have made the same wish.
Yeah.
But we do know, at least, that, it's pretty fucking broken. Say he teamed up with one of the other heaters, can you imagine he did that to Granola instead of the ordinary three-piece combo that he did to him? The new three-piece combo is he, punches him, instant transmissions him to a Lek who just shoots him right on command. That'd actually be pretty fucking crazy. But, we got Ultra Ego Vegeta, looking like a fucking zombie by the end of it.
Yeah. Which, honestly, considering that this is the first arc that we have Ultra Ego Vegeta, I'm starting to see, he actually has limits at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's less that his power has limits, but more his body has limits. Yeah. Which I think is a pretty good balancing act for what is an absurdly broken ability. The ability to get more powerful the more damage you take is broken. In Dragon Ball, especially. Because, let's be honest, if Zenkai Boost were still a thing, that shit would be stacking so hard. But the limits are obviously one's own body.
Yeah.
And so Vegeta, despite tanking a lot, he had to, he fell.
But the biggest development is that Goku's going to be returning back to Ultra Instinct Sign, which the reason he gives is more because of the fact that he has to keep his calm while in Mastered Ultra Instinct. But seeing him just being able to show emotion in the battle should be an interesting development for what's to come.
Yeah, so I think this is playing off of a moment that not many people remember, but back during the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc with Moro, Goku doesn't use Mastered Ultra Instinct when he first returns to Earth. He uses Ultra Instinct Sign.
Yeah.
And throughout Ultra Instinct Sign, he was able to use it to the point where he could control how much power output he could use with it. And I think what this is for his battle with Gas is that he knows that Mastered Ultra Instinct could beat Gas, but he doesn't believe he has the control to do it. But if he uses Ultra Instinct Sign, he may not be as strong as Gas, but he may outlast him.
Yeah, because ultimately, this is playing off of the whole idea that he needs to... Like, the beginning of the chapter has drilled into our heads. He needs to find his own Ultra Instinct. His is different from that of the Angels. It's different from Beerus's. So, I think that seeing that in a potential future chapter would be pretty interesting. Because more forms means... Well, actually, merchandising hasn't actually been that strong in the manga, but...
Yeah, it's actually kind of crazy how the manga hasn't gotten much merchandising. Like, you would think, like, Dragon Ball Heroes has literally everything and his fucking grandmother in the game.
But nothing from the manga post-Tournament of Power.
No, I would say... Well, think about it. Not all the characters from the Tournament of Power are in Dragon Ball Heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some of the main characters that we saw for, like, that were in the Tournament of Power aren't in Dragon Ball Heroes, much less any of the characters from the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc.
Because that game is pretty much just treated as Dragon Ball fan service, the game.
Exactly.
So,
but they haven't had anything from the latter half of the Tournament of Power, the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc, the Granola the Survivor arc, or the superhero movie.
Yeah, because especially when a lot of the merchandising we see nowadays, like outside of Super Dragon Ball Heroes, is really stuff from Dragon Ball Super Broly.
Yeah,
that's what's catching people's attention. You don't see Dokkan Battle releasing a trailer for the
Saganbo
for like Moro coming out, or for
7-3
or Merus or anybody.
Yeah,
Like, I'm sorry, but the manga chapters don't get a lot of love from, like, anybody at Bandai.
Yeah, which I think is partially because they're waiting for the super sequel to come out.
Yeah, which
will probably adapt these arcs, which will then bring the characters to a bigger forefront, because there are still a lot of people out there that watch the Dragon Ball Super anime, but do not know that the Super manga is still running to this day, with new content and new characters all the time. That's canon. Like, most people think of it, and they may think it's, like, not in canon.
Which is weird, because, like, again, the Broly movie happened in the manga.
But then again, in the manga, it was literally 2 panels.
Yeah, which, I mean, we don't need more than that.
Yeah, because we have already seen the movie.
We don't need any more than that, because, let's just face it, everyone and their mother has seen this movie.
Yeah, but it's kind of crazy how no one was like, like, I want to see if there's more Dragon Ball content out there, and then finds, like, there's Moro and like, there's so many people that don't know that Granola exists.
Yeah. In this chapter, or this whole arc itself is proving to be extremely good.
It's extremely good, but it's actually kind of sad how many, like, there's, like, literally probably, like, thousands, if not millions of Dragon Ball fans that don't know it exists.
And I guarantee you, even though, like, Dragon Ball Superhero is going to have probably a fairly simple plot, and probably will limit the use of Goku and Vegeta. I mean, only the Japanese fans know about that at this point.
Yeah.
Considering that it's going to have an August release in the States.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that movie alone is going to have more of a cultural impact as far as, like, Dragon Ball itself.
Well, think about it. Gohan and Piccolo are the leads. Yeah. They are phenomenally popular in the West. They are as popular as Goku and Vegeta are.
Oh, yeah.
So, a movie helmed by those two is most definitely going to do it.
Yeah. It's just a shame because... Like, again, I think of it as a symptom of the fact that we aren't getting an anime for the past, what? We haven't gotten an anime episode in, like, 4 years?
It's almost 5. Almost 5 years.
No way.
Yeah. It's almost been 5 years.
Oh, my God.
It's actually insane. Like, I'm actually gonna briefly check and see when the last, like, fucking... episode came out. I think it's been like 5 years, bro.
That's insane, honestly.
But the ending of this chapter was the most interesting, in my opinion.
Because
it shows, I think, a deviation in the wish that Granola made and the wish that Alec made for Gas.
Because we see Gas all, not skinny, but shriveled up.
Yeah.
Which, remind us again how long Granola had left to live.
Granola has 3 years left to live.
3 years, yeah. So this probably shows an extreme of that.
Yeah, where I think Gas's whole thing is that he gains more power the older he gets. And it was more that the reason why he could use his awakened form was because he was old enough to control its power.
Or do you think that he has somehow tied it to his life force and can use it at will, but it ages him super fast? Because that could be it too.
Could be.
That could actually be a better explanation, because he ages super rapidly out of nowhere. Yeah. So that might be it.
By the way, it's been 4 years since the last episode of Super aired in Japan.
Oh my god.
But maybe that may be it, because when the wish was first made, Gas was noticeably taller, looked more like an adult. Then we see him use his awakened form and control the awakened form, versus him losing control of it when he was a child. So it seemed like at first that
So, honestly, him being able to use his life force to his age to accelerate his power growth could be it.
Yeah.
Because it ties into, as far as the context from the rest of the chapters are concerned, it makes sense. It also makes sense why he has the mind of a child.
Yeah. I think that's actually an underrated aspect of Gas that we haven't really touched upon, is that Gas is, for all his power, he's a relatively inexperienced fighter.
Yeah.
Because, mind you, he's older than Goku, which is crazy. He's older than Goku, but Goku has more of an adult mindset and more of an experienced, career as a fighter.
That just brings into the whole Star Wars thing. Oh yeah, he could be 50 years old, but still an infant type thing.
We will get to Star Wars. But, yeah, I feel an underrated aspect of Gas throughout this arc, and it's something that's also been shown in this chapter, is that his relative inexperience as a fighter, really makes it so that Goku and Vegeta have a chance.
Yeah.
And I find that to be pretty interesting.
I mean, that also, I feel like that's something, not that Goku pointed out, oh, this guy's an actual child, but the immaturity of his fighting leads him to be able to use instant transmission in the previous chapters to chase him away. Yeah,
and we even get that briefly when, he's getting bullied by Yunba and Zyogi in the prison.
Exactly.
When they're bullying him, and how, despite the fact that Gas most likely with a thought could slaughter everyone in the prison not named Goku, he doesn't, because he's so embarrassed.
And also leads to the power dynamic of the fact that, what's it called?
Alec?
That Alec is able to, take charge of him with such authority, despite the fact that he's, leagues weaker than he is now.
Exactly. I actually think that's really interesting, especially when you think of the comments made by Oil and Maki, who are Gas's older siblings, but not as old as Alec. They do treat him like a child. They care about him like he's their youngest kid brother, despite the fact that he is the strongest one of them all, even before the wish.
Yeah. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I think that this theory of mine is correct.
I think so.
Yeah.
And it actually makes more sense. And I think this may actually be an underrated aspect of Toyotaro's writing when it comes to this arc in developing our villains.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we've ever really experienced something like this. The closest I can think of was when Tien and Chaozu were first introduced, in the fact that they were young and easily, being easily manipulated to do evil by Master Shen. It's Shen.
Yeah.
Or Chen.
It's Shen.
Yes, Master Shen. They were easily manipulated by Shen to become, brutes. They didn't go full mercenary Tao, but they were still like, young and impressionable. And once they got away from Shen's influence, they obviously became the good people that we know. But that's the closest we've ever gotten to a plot line like this.
Yeah. Yep. Who knows? Who knows what will happen with this?
Yeah. I don't know where this next chapter is going.
Yeah.
I feel like Granola has to wake up at some point soon.
Yeah.
Like, he has to wake up.
Yeah. I will say, I don't know. This might not be, like, fully formed, mostly because, again, I'm trying to put this into words here. The way this arc is going, I don't know, like, how far do you think we are in this arc?
I have to think we're in the end game.
See, aside from, like...
Because I can't see Frieza being introduced.
Oh, no. Because I'm trying to think, because outside of the fights and some flashbacks, my only complaint can be, like, what of significance happens in this arc? That's the only thing that's going on in my mind.
The only significant things that I can say is more of a development of Vegeta and Goku's characters.
Yeah, that's really all that happens, which, I mean, mind you, especially with Vegeta, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
But as far as, like substantive plot, because, again, this whole arc has been, like, 2 giant fights.
So, I think the biggest thing that this arc is supposed to really show at the end of it all is that Goku and Vegeta, by the end of this, are the prophecy that the Oracle Fish predicted all the way back during Battle of Gods. That's what this... Because remember, this arc started with the Oracle Fish's prophecy.
Yeah.
And so, I believe the end of this arc is a solidification of the fact that no matter what happens in the universe, Goku and Vegeta are the prophecy. They are the ones that can challenge Beerus at the end of the day. Other people will rise and try to beat them, but Goku and Vegeta will still surpass them as they are the ones that will truly rival Beerus.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, my biggest concern is, like, with the fight to plot ratio. I know that's tough to say, or, like, that's weird to say about Dragon Ball, but this arc's, like, plot to fight ratio has been kind of off. I'm guessing you feel that too, right?
Yeah, it has been kind of off. But I also feel because, and this is, a little bit weird, but I think it's kind of because we're not used to plot development in a fight in Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
In the sense that the actions done within the fight are actually informing us of how the character thinks. Because, like, when you think of, like, the iconic fights, Goku versus Frieza, Cell versus Gohan, Goku versus Kid Buu, the way they fight don't necessarily inform what their character is developing, with the exception of Super Saiyan 2 Gohan being extremely cocky. But, like, Cell, for example, the way Cell fights when he fights Goku and Gohan doesn't really indicate any personality trait from him. He's just good at fighting.
I will say, there are some fights that lead to what you're saying. Like, Goku versus Vegeta in the Buu Saga. A lot of the fights in the World Tournament arcs in early Dragon Ball. Yeah. A lot of those do lead to that. Because, like, the biggest way that Dragon Ball carries its plot is through character actions. Some of them during fights. Yeah, but I feel for big picture fights. Yeah. The ones that are iconic, most people don't see that. And so I feel we've kind of been lost in that spectacle. Because now we're in this fight. The Granola and Gas fight. And throughout the fights that Goku and Vegeta had with Granola and Gas, big portions of their characterizations for Granola and Gas have been through how they fought Goku and Vegeta, but not necessarily anything they've said. So, like, with Granola, you can tell he's inexperienced, but he has a massive amount of power. But when push comes to shove by someone fighting him, like,
with someone more experienced fighting him, he breaks down and loses all conviction and just wants to just fucking murder Vegeta and, like, even kill himself in the process, and doesn't care if he die if he looks like a villain. Which, like, really cuts to the heart of everything Monaito was saying about how Granola's path for revenge is unhealthy. But that's not something that, you know, we had, like, characters sit down and talk about, and then, like, in an argument, in a moment of anger, he screams it out, and that's when it hits you in the face. It's more subtle. From how Vegeta's able to trick Granola into blowing up, like, historical Cyrillian, like, architecture, to when he blew up the hole in that family's house. All of that more informs Granola's just hyperfixation on revenge becoming more and more unhealthy, to the point where he nearly kills himself. And then with Gas, we see where Gas, like a child, when he initially fights Granola, he wants to do it his way and his way alone, which is using the key constructs, because that's his, like, famed technique.
Yeah.
But then, when that's clearly not working, he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna just beat you however I can. Which really shows that, you know, which ends up working to his detriment, because he's ending up wasting time and stamina. Because as soon as he finally beats Granola, Goku and Vegeta are able to get the jump on him and able to distract him for long periods of time. Where if Gas was a more mature person and not as prideful and not as, you know, overconfident like we've seen him be throughout the arc, he would have very easily just combined both techniques, both his new techniques and his key constructs, to just murder everyone very quickly. Because he could have done it even before he awakened. And even after he awakened, he should have killed them all. But he's immature. He doesn't know how to fight. He doesn't know how to truly be good at martial arts.
Yeah.
I say martial arts in quotation marks because what the fuck kind of martial arts is Dragon Ball nowadays? But you know what I mean.
Martial arts hasn't been a part of Dragon Ball for almost 35 years. Let's be fair.
Listen, the last time we got any reference to real martial arts was Goku versus Tien back during the Piccolo Jr. arc.
Exactly.
That was the last reference to explicit martial arts in the series.
Yeah. But I will just end it on this. I find that the most, like, interesting things about this arc in general, or, like, things that, like, carry the plot in a way that, like, oh, that could be interesting, are, like, Vegeta's embrace of Ultra Ego, and whatever the hell they talked about who's the guy in the middle of the universe? What's his name?
Zuno.
Yeah, what were those questions?
Yeah, we only know of...
And because
I think we only know of 2 questions he asked out of the 10, right?
Because, like, they hinted early in the arc that, oh, these are going to be important later. You better keep this in the back of your mind because these might be important. Also, and I'm starting to feel the length of the arc, and I'm like, when are we going to find out? Because the arc feels like it's almost over.
You also have to remember, 7-3's progressively less rotting corpse is still around and getting healthier by the second.
Oh, God.
7-3, who is one of the big mini-bosses of the last arc, who is absurdly broken, and if he touches any one of Goku, Vegeta, or Gas, will immediately start killing all of them, because unlike the rest of these characters, he's solely driven by logic, because he's a fucking robot, and he would fucking murder them.
Oh no. God, all of these open ends left at the beginning of the arc makes me fear that the end of the chapter's gonna jump the shark.
Oh, no. It was me! 7-3 all along! But, yeah, I do wonder how this arc is gonna end. But as for this chapter, I'd probably give it, like, a 6.
Honestly, yeah, because, like, it's not fantastic or anything.
Yeah.
Because... Again, my biggest problem is I'm starting to feel the length of the arc and the plot to fight ratio being very off, especially here. Like, the fights were good.
Yeah, the choreography has obviously still been incredible.
And Goku experimenting with potentially Ultra Instinct Sign is cool as well. And the fact that, hey, I might get this right as far as Gas's potential wish, who knows? Or Lex's wish for Gas.
Yeah.
But,
quick question. Do you think we'll see Oil and Maki fight for the rest of the arc?
At this point, the weaker, like, Dragon Ball protagonists are, like, way out there, so I don't see a reason for them to.
So then my next question is do you think they'll die? My prediction has always been that if any of the antagonists are to die this arc, it's going to be Elec and Gas. I cannot see Oil and Maki dying.
You don't think that they'll do the whole finger laser into bitch slap away and accidentally kill off a secondary character type death?
I would have thought that, but the fact that Zyogi, Yunba, the 3 girls, and 7-3 all came out of the Moro arc alive, with the only ones dying being Moro, Shimareka, and Sagambo, yeah, I could see them living.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because, I mean, the Moro arc, in the grand scheme of things, of the antagonist and mini-antagonist, the only ones that died was Moro, Shimareka, Sagambo, and the Zarbon lookalike.
Yeah, I mean, let's be fair here. As we see with 7-3, the more antagonists you leave alive, the more potential there are for future tie-ins.
Very true. And, I mean, still, Zyogi and Yumba are still alive in the prison. Oh, and for that matter, the Macarini family is also still alive. You know, the ones from that scene that was totally not ripped from Solo. Yeah, they're still alive. Here's the thing, they kind of fell off the face of the earth. Piccolo beat them. Then Shimareka was gonna kill them. But then Gohan and Piccolo stopped them. And I guess Jocko just arrested them because they don't appear for the rest of the arc. They don't even show up in the prison, but I'm assuming they're there.
Yeah.
So, who knows? Maybe we'll see them again.
Yeah.
Also, what is it? The assassin from the beginning of the arc. That's Granola's rival. He's probably also gonna... I expect him to be a background character in the next arc. Kind of like how the Galactic Patrol members were background characters in this arc, where, like, we know, hey, they're still alive and doing things in the universe.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Either way, I'd give this about a 6 out of 10.
Yeah. Again, I can't give it a 7 just because...
Yeah, I can't.
Just because, like, it's more of a symptom of the arc itself.
Yeah. And I feel like, once again, this is mainly because manga has been made for volume formats in mind versus its weekly or monthly release structure. And so I feel like it's probably better when this arc is fully finished and fully put into volumes. If we reread this, it's probably going to be a lot better.
Because what was the most interesting of the last 5 chapters? It was the flashback chapter.
Yeah.
That was the most interesting stuff we got.
Yeah. And also just the fact that Goku remembers who his parents are now.
Yeah. Which, let's not talk about the backlash that had in the community, even though we're entirely right on that.
Yeah. Well, it's not the backlash that he knew his parents. The backlash is the supposed wish made by Bardock. Which, I mean, the wish was just, my kids survive Planet Vegeta. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because let's be honest here. Outside of them surviving Planet Vegeta, they were gonna die. Like, my sons live prosperous lives. Raditz dies young, and Goku dies young as well. Twice. So, yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe his prosperous life is fighting everybody down in hell and all the other races who can't even contend with a Saiyan. Actually, considering the power spike in later Dragon Ball, that might not even be true anymore.
Fair.
Considering that, let's just face it, all other races we've seen in Dragon Ball are on the levels of, like, ranging anywhere from Zarbon to, why am I forgetting all of these names? Demon King and
Deborah.
Deborah, yeah. Why do I forget these names?
No clue.
Why do I forget these names
so
easily?
Since we are talking about Bardock, I do want to transition briefly to my favorite subject within Dragon Ball. Super Dragon Ball Heroes came out with its 3rd episode of its newest arc.
Take it away.
And so, this episode, the main focal point of this episode is the fight between... Excuse me one second. Excuse me. between Super Saiyan God Xeno Trunks, not Future Trunks. It's actually interesting. Xeno Trunks used to be Future Trunks, just straight up. But then when Super came out, obviously you can't reconcile Future Trunks from the Dragon Ball Online from the Future Trunks and Super, so they made him Xeno Trunks. So anyway, this is a fight between Super Saiyan God Xeno Trunks and Super Saiyan Evil Future Gohan. And we actually get an explanation. Surprisingly enough, in Dragon Ball Heroes, we actually get a compelling explanation as to why Gohan turned evil.
I'm not ready for this, am I?
So the reason being, you're actually going to think it's pretty decent. So the reason being is that in his timeline, the androids didn't kill him. They killed Bulma and Trunks instead. And Gohan was absolutely powerless to stop them. He felt broken. He felt he had completely failed everyone. He felt he was so weak. He couldn't beat them. He had lost his arm, and for what? Trunks and Bulma are dead. Piccolo, Krillin, the rest of them are dead. Goku is dead. And the world is gone. He has nothing. And so he just wallows in this self-pity and just anger and vows that he just can't lose ever again. And it's because of this intense negative emotions that Ios, who is the previous Supreme Kai of Time before Corona, she recruits him to be one of her warriors. And then she empowers him with the Dark Dragon Balls. So now he feels that he is unstoppable. That he cannot ever lose. Because if he is to ever lose, it is just a constant reminder that he wasn't strong enough to protect his world. And so that's why he is evil.
Why do I feel like you explained this better than it actually is? Why am I getting that feeling?
I mean...
This is Super Dragon Ball Heroes. We're not supposed to have this level of nuance in a fan service game.
Okay, but that's actually what it is, though. His main thing is that, you know,
like
I was too weak. I couldn't protect Bulma and Trunks. I couldn't do anything in my timeline. So now I must become even stronger, so strong that I'll never lose again to prove that I'm not weak.
So I feel like you're describing this 100% accurate and still giving it too much credit. You're giving the writers here way too much credit for Super Dragon Ball Heroes.
Maybe. So, the main crux of the fight is that, and we had all that goodness, and then obviously Super Dragon Ball Heroes is going to Super Dragon Ball Heroes, and Trunks responds, "But Gohan, you can't win. You lost your arm!"
And you wonder why I refuse to watch this series.
And so they have
You wonder why I don't want to watch it.
And so then they have a beam struggle. It's Gohan's Kamehameha versus Trunks' Masenko. And Trunks overpowers Gohan because Gohan has one arm. And if he had two arms, he would have won. And so then Gohan's just like, great, I lost again. I'm a fucking failure. So then, switching gears, we have, in another world, we have, so, I don't know if you remember this character. Do you remember Lags?
No.
She is the glass girl from, remember when Cumber and Hearts and Orin and Common showed up a couple arcs ago?
Roughly.
From the Prisoner Planet arc?
Roughly.
So, there was this one girl who had glass powers, and her name is Lags. So, there's another girl who is currently unnamed. She's just called the Female Warrior in Black. and she has glass powers, but her glass powers are better because she can create glass warriors. She can create sentient warriors out of glass. And so, as a result, she is facing the team, the three musketeers of Hit, Vegeta, and Yamcha.
Yep, saw that one coming.
Yep, so they're facing off. Then we find out about the fourth warrior in black, which is Gohan and Piccolo. Oh, by the way, while this is happening, there's also other universes still there. So there's like an incarnation of like Basil, just kind of running around fighting the Glass Warriors alongside Goku and Vegeta, Hit, and Yamcha.
Why you gotta involve Universe 9 in this?
Yeah.
Why bring in Universe 9?
And so then on an alternate planet, Namek, we have Gohan, Piccolo, Bergamo, and some other people. They're on planet Namek, and it's revealed that the main villain there is a version of Piccolo. He's only called the Namekian in black, but Gohan and Piccolo look at him and like, that's Piccolo. So we will probably learn within the next couple episodes why
why he turned evil. I swear to God, if it involves Gohan, I'm gonna be mad.
I mean, who knows, bro? And so then finally, we end with Goku and Jiren facing off against Super Saiyan 3 Bardock, enhanced by the Dark Dragon Balls. Because if you remember last arc with the masked Goku Black, do you remember that?
I remember that.
So that person in the robes that was fighting him, that we thought was Goku, was actually Bardock. So next episode is going to be Goku and Jiren versus Bardock. Ultra Instinct signed Goku and Jiren versus Super Saiyan 3 Dark Dragon Ball Bardock.
And you wonder why I don't watch this. You wonder why I don't watch this.
It's just so interesting. It's just really interesting. Let me see.
I will not take your word on that.
Okay, here are the teams. Here are the teams that we have. So we have Team 1, Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Yamcha, Hit, and Jiren. Team 2 is Xeno Goku, Xeno Vegeta, Xeno Trunk, Xeno Pan, Xeno Goten, Xeno Gohan, and Krillin. Team 3 is Tapion and 6 people of his race. Team 4, Mecha Frieza, Zarbon, Dodoria, Shisami, Kui, Tagoma, and Sorbet. Team 5 is Frieza, again, Metacooler, Hearts, Cumber, Super 17, Dr. Wheelo, and Turles. Team 6 is Deborah, Pui Pui, Spopovich, Yamu, Yakon, and 2 unknown people. Team 7 is androids 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Team 8 is Lord Slug, Metamacha, Anguilla, Wings, Commander Ziyun, and 2 unknown members. Team 9 is Bojack, Zanya, Beto, Bujin, Kogu, and 2 unknown people. Team 10 is Salza, Dor, Naze, Raditz, and 3 other random aliens. Team 11 is Captain Ginyu, Jace, Berta Raccoon, Guldo, and 2 unknown people. Team 12 is Mercenary Tao, Ninja Murasaki, Colonel Silver, General White, General Blue, Bouillon.
Why the hell are they bringing Ninja Murasaki back?
He's there, and so is Major Metaltron.
What purpose does he have in Super Dragon Ball Heroes? Literally, he's not even wall level.
Well, he's here.
He's not wall level, and literally every other team has multi...
or is at least planet level.
Is at least either planet... Like, many of these teams have multi-galaxy level characters. I am sorry. He does not belong in this show.
Then we have Team 13, otherwise known as the Super Evil Warriors, which consists of Dragon Ball Z Broly, Hirudegarn, Kid Buu, and Janemba. And these are members from unidentified teams. Frost, King Cold, Angle, Moa, Bergamo, Raisin, Lacacy, Basil, Murichim, and Dekori. Yes, Dekori. You remember who Dekori was?
No.
The witch from Universe 4. And remember
the ones with the talisman?
What?
The ones with the talismans?
Yes, her.
The one that Roshi beat.
Yes. She's in it. Alongside Bergamo, Basil, and, remember Murichim?
The sumo guy?
No. That's to Napapa. No.
No. He's the Napapa's the one with the pig face, right?
Yeah, Napapa's the sumo. Murichim is the monk.
He's the protein guy.
Yes.
He's the protein guy.
Yes. He's in it.
Why?
Yeah. Do you even remember who Angle and Moa are?
No.
So, when I show you who Angle is, you're gonna be like, what the fuck is this shit? So, do you remember this man?
What the fuck is this shit?
Yes, that random grunt with a speaking line back during the original Broly movie that was talking to Paragus. Yes, he is named. Yes, he's in this series. And yes, he is also playable in Dragon Ball Heroes. And he has his own super attack.
Can we move on, please?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. And then this is Moa. This is the best picture they have of Moa from the movie. He's a blurry background character! He is a blurry background character that, 1, has a name, 2, is playable in Dragon Ball Heroes, 3, is in this series, and 4, has a bigger moveset than Angle, who had speaking lines in the movie.
Can we move on, please? We're moving on.
Yeah, so, I love Dragon Ball Heroes. I love Dragon Ball Heroes so much. It's so fucking dumb.
The episode gets a 3 out of 10 for me, and you can trust me because I haven't watched it.
I'd actually give the episode, if anything, I'd give it a 5 out of 10.
It's a 3 out of 10 for me.
I'd give it a 5 out of 10 just because of the surprise nuance about evil Gohan's motivations.
The only reason I'm giving it a 3 and not a 2 is because I haven't watched it.
Fine.
Anyway, moving on. I think we should move on to our next subject for the day.
Yes.
And that should be the grand finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
We are about, 3 weeks late?
Yeah, but we have opinions, and the opinions of the broader Star Wars fandom has also developed as well. Let me just say this about Episode 6, and I'm just going to get this out of the way. The ending was really good. So much so that, my appreciation for Episode 6 has made me feel like the rest of the episodes might have been worse.
So, I personally disagree with the sentiment that it devalues the...
I didn't say it devalues.
Not devalues, but, lessens the opinion of the previous episodes.
So, here's my thing.
Yeah.
We get genuine moments between Anakin, or now Vader.
Well, both Anakin and Vader.
Not really Anakin anymore, let's be honest here, based on the implications given by Vader.
Yeah.
It's no longer Anakin. Which actually leads credence to the fact that Obi-Wan technically didn't lie to Luke in A New Hope. Considering, remember, he said that Vader killed his father.
Yep.
That's actually true now.
I mean, it was always true.
I mean, it just is more solidified now more than ever.
Yes.
But, we get actual complex character moments, and those in the rest of the show only existed, maybe once or twice an episode between Obi-Wan and Leia. Whereas here, we get a full episode, like, dedicated to a good chunk of that. And because of, like, how good those interactions were in that episode alone, and the genuine, I'm like, yeah, this was the best episode in the entire series. I'm like, the rest of the plot and script in comparison to this, it's kind of simple in comparison.
So, I would say that the premise of Obi-Wan was always simple, in my opinion, in the sense that there's two major things going on. One is the story of Obi-Wan, and two, the wider story about the Jedi's place in the galaxy. And I feel like that was the main part of this story, and I think it went on and fulfilled it well.
I think this, like, again, episode 6 did everything this show needed to accomplish, and then some. I'm not going to come out and say that the episode was bad, or the series as a whole is bad.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm going to say, because that would be blatantly false. The only, like, one bad part of the show was that one chase scene in episode 1. Let's be fair here on that.
Okay, but let's be honest here. Has Star Wars ever had a good chase scene in live action?
No.
The only good chase scenes I've seen was the Ahsoka chase scene in Season 5 of Star Wars The Clone Wars. Which you will need to watch Star Wars The Clone Wars to understand the context of why that chase scene's good.
But, I don't know, it's just, this episode was a level above that I kind of have to reanalyze the 6s and 7s I've been giving the show.
So,
because this episode was, I'm going to be honest, it was an 8 for me, but...
Yeah, no, I would definitely give it an 8.
But to relate that to the 6s and 7s that I've been giving the show, I don't know, a lot of them might go down in level just because I kind of have to reanalyze why I give this episode an 8 and why... Because, let's just face it, this episode was a step above a lot of the other episodes in this series, especially, like, again, what we've wanted, whereas interactions between Luke and Vader. The only thing that comes close is episode 3, where we get genuine moments of hatred coming out of Vader. That episode, I would probably stick with my 7 on that, but everything else I wouldn't grade above a 6.
So, for me, I would say that this episode was really good. And one thing that I do kind of want to disagree is when you said that Anakin is dead in this series. I think the opposite is true. Anakin is alive and well. And the reason being is at the end of the series when Palpatine tells him to stop following Obi-Wan. I think that was because the more Vader pursued Obi-Wan, the more Anakin came out. The more the personal vendetta of Anakin Skywalker came out, and less so the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Vader. And the reason why Palpatine wants him to stop going after Obi-Wan is because if he's going after Obi-Wan, he's becoming more and more like Anakin, which means he has the ability to become more independent.
Yeah.
Which is something Palpatine doesn't want. So he gets him to stop pursuing Obi-Wan so he can have his loyal lapdog, Darth Vader. Not the loose cannon that could be Anakin Skywalker, except fully engrossed in the dark side now. So that's why I kind of disagree with the idea that Anakin was truly dead by this point in the series. I think when they fight on the Death Star, Anakin is now truly dead. At least until episode 6. But I believe that this was truly the death of Anakin.
Yeah,
I think
you bring up episode 6, and yeah, I guess you could say Anakin never truly dies.
Yeah, he never truly dies, but I would say in between episode 6 of this and episode 4, the movie, that Vader has far and away become far more dominant than Anakin.
And we're not talking like separate personalities or anything
Yeah.
like that. We're talking as far as how he
Identifies.
how he identifies, how he portrays himself, and imposes himself amongst the Empire.
Yeah. Because, like, in the beginning of this series, you could say, yeah, he was Vader. But then, once he encountered Obi-Wan the first time, I think Anakin started wrestling back to the surface.
Yeah.
Because
at this point, like, even by episode 1 of the show, who are the only people that know? Palpatine and the Inquisitors?
No, it's Palpatine and Reva.
Oh, just Reva?
I believe the only people that knew...
Oh, that's right. She would be the only one to know, because she's the one that saw Anakin during Order 66 in the first
Well,
place.
no, it's Palpatine, Reva, and the Grand Inquisitor, and that's because the Grand Inquisitor was a Jedi Temple guard.
Yeah. So for those three characters, I guess that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Well, also during this time, Padme's, remember Padme's handmaid from the fucking movies?
Yeah.
She knows. Because that by this point, she's now one of the top dogs in Naboo, and she figured it out. But, yeah. Anyways, no, the reason, so, the way I think of it is like this. When it first came out, like, when this series first started, Vader was in control. But as the series progressed, Anakin came to the forefront. And I think one of the biggest hints to Anakin coming to the forefront was his fight with Reva. The sheer overconfidence and cockiness that Vader showed in that fight is more reminiscent of Anakin than how Vader normally fights in a dominant fashion. Think of it like this. Think of how he fought Reva versus how he fought Luke. Both of them had no chance of beating him. But the way he beat Reva was far more disrespectful. Far more like, I am just better than you and you are beneath me. Far more cocky, like how Anakin can act, versus Luke. Vader is far more just, I'm just going through the motions. I am just going to procedurally beat you down because I can.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, like, he doesn't feel cocky with his movements. Like, with Reva, he didn't pull out his own lightsaber. Ever. He just beat her with the Force. And I feel that's more of a Anakin thing to flex on his opponents than a Vader thing.
Yeah. And again, we do have to clarify, not separate personalities.
Yeah.
That's not what we're leaning
Not
towards
separate personalities, but more of how they portray themselves. And I feel this is especially true, which I keep having to bring this up, but if you've watched Clone Wars, you can see what I mean when I say the fighting style matches Anakin's more cocky side.
Yeah.
Because in the Clone Wars, obviously there are times Anakin fights very seriously, but there are times where you can clearly see Anakin is very cocky when he's fighting his opponent.
Yeah. Now, I do want to move on and bring up the later half of the show, which includes Reva going to Tatooine, which
that's the one thing that really bothers me.
Yeah,
is how did she get to Tatooine faster than Vader and Obi-Wan?
Yeah. But
because I'm just wondering, how'd she find a ship off-world? I mean, presumably there was probably more than one ship in that area. Because, I mean, you don't run a whole underground railroad with just 2 fucking ships. Obviously, there's probably more.
Yeah, just something about that whole, like, sequence, it's very off.
Yeah, it was very off. But,
like,
the overall handling of Reva, though, I thought was fine.
Like, they also had to make it to where Luke faints in the cliff so he doesn't see Reva's lightsaber, so he can be amazed in episode 4 when Ben shows him the lightsaber for the first time.
Yeah, which honestly, I kind of expected to happen. I was like, there's no way Luke can see that lightsaber. So obviously what she's going to do is she's going to force pull him down and he's going to get knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, like, it has to be done. I still don't like it. I still don't like it.
It's still kind of cheesy.
Like, again, the first half of this episode was amazing. Like,
yeah,
if you cut out that section in the second half, I would have happily given this episode an 8.5, but
yeah,
there are things that drag this episode down, unfortunately.
So my whole thing about Reva's character arc is I think it's done fine.
I think it was done fairly fine. I do think that episode 6 does kind of dampen it for me, though.
It does, but for me, the thing that dampens it is more of the circumstances of how she gets there and less so her actual actions. As I feel her actions are perfectly in line with a character becoming progressively more consumed by the dark side. And I feel a lot of people, when they were criticizing Reva in the show, do not understand the corrosive, cancerous aspect that is falling to the dark side. Falling to the dark side takes probably some of your most wanted desires and perverts them and corrupts them to the point where you're doing unspeakable atrocities in the name of finding whatever it is. I mean, Anakin kills children because he believes it will give him the loyalty of Palpatine so he can find a way to save Padme's life.
I mean, to be fair to your point, like, she literally went through a dopamine rush of the dark side to keep herself alive. So.
Yeah, which, I mean, at this point in the series, if you are a Star Wars fan, you should not be you should not be surprised about Darksiders surviving things that they shouldn't. Maul survived getting cut in half. Anakin survived getting melted on a fucking lava bed. Inquisitor survived getting stabbed. Reza survives getting stabbed. Palpatine survives whatever the fuck happened to him. So, come on, bro. Come on.
To be fair, that last one, it still rubs a lot of people the wrong way, even with that consideration.
Well, I don't know why it rubs people the wrong way, because that's exactly how Palpatine survived in the EU. Quite literally, was him forcing his soul out of his body before it obliterated into a clone body, which is exactly what he does in The Rise of Skywalker. The only problem is that, unlike the EU, they don't show you that.
It also because it's attached to literally the worst modern Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Somehow, Palpatine has returned.
Oh, God.
They fly now?
To be fair, that line isn't that bad.
It's not that it's that bad, but it's more in the context of Finn. No shit, they fly now. You were one of them. It would be less so if, like...
I don't have much contention with that line, because it's like...
my problem with the line is less so of the fact that it exists, but more so that Finn said it, and it should have been said by, like, Poe or Rey.
Yeah, because whenever people complain in that line, it's like... Like, people say, oh, it's too quippy. And I'm like, sure, funny scene, funny, move on. Give me real complaints.
Yeah, I mean, I don't... See, my whole problem with the scene was not that it's too quippy. It was just that it was the wrong character saying it.
Yeah.
Of all the characters to say it, it should have been Rey, because she has actually interacted with the First Order the least. She would be the one that is the least likely to see a flying stormtrooper.
But we can all admit the worst line in the movie is somehow Palpatine returned.
And that's less so because of the delivery, but more so of the fact that the only way you would know that is if you played Fortnite, which does not exist in Star Wars, so the characters just don't know.
Yeah, no, he revived himself off screen.
Yep. And the only way you knew was through Fortnite. Sometimes I wonder, maybe they should have gone with the Sun as the main villain. No, it would have been worse because even less people know who the fuck the Sun is.
Yeah. God.
But anyways,
I kind of want to
mm-hmm.
either read through Colin Trevorrow's script of Duel of the or what was the name of it? Episode 9 going to be for him? Was it Duel of the Fates? I think that was... Because it was named after the song from episode 1.
Duel of the Fates was episode 3.
Oh, wait. What was the song in episode 1? No, it was Duel of the Fates, wasn't it?
Duel of the Fates is the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan. Because it determined the fate of the galaxy.
Then what is the song in episode 1?
I don't... You're talking about the one where it's Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan versus Maul.
Yeah.
I'm looking this up right now.
Yeah, no, because I feel like I'm right about this.
It's also called Duel of the Fates.
Yeah, no, episode 9 was going to be called Duel of the Fates if it was continued to be written by Colin Trevorrow.
I feel like that would have been better.
Because if you're interested, I think what YouTuber has a reading of the script? I think it's is it Jenny Nicholson? I need to look this up. I need to look this up because you need to read this script. I haven't read it.
Oh, yes, it is probably Jenny Nicholson. I love Jenny Nicholson. I actually haven't seen any of her Star Wars videos. I've only seen her Vampire Diaries video and her the one video about that very creepy guy that used his bully's suicide to get close to his bully's sister and family.
Oh, wait. Is that one musical?
Dear Evan Hansen!
Oh, God, I remember that musical getting torn a new one.
Dear Evan Hansen is so fucking horrible, bro.
But yeah, watch her video on episode 9. I need to rewatch it because it was going to be the original script. Because remember, Colin Trevorrow is the one who worked on, I think it was Jurassic World. So it would have been helmed by him rather than J.J. Abrams, which, who knows if that would have been better. It's a coin flip for me, honestly.
I mean, honestly, the fact that J.J. Abrams originally wanted to use the sun makes me want to fucking vomit.
You know what? I'll rewatch that script reading, and I'll come back to you on that, because I don't remember the details of it, but...
Yeah. Well, speaking of Qui-Gon, very loosely, he did show up in the end, like we all predicted, a Liam Neeson cameo.
Took him long enough, didn't it?
Yeah, but I do actually like the fact that he appears at the end, and it's more so that... It's not that he finally appears, but more so that Obi-Wan can now see him. Because he's now more attuned with the Force.
Yeah. Based on the way he actually said it, I'm more of the opinion he's finally revealed himself to him.
I always thought it was less so that I thought it was more so that Obi-Wan was finally now attuned enough with the Force that he can now be able to perceive him.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing about because Yoda even mentions the fact that he has to train Obi-Wan to be able to commune with Qui-Gon, which, how the fuck did that ever happen?
Force projection? I don't know.
Questions for later.
We know force projection's a thing, so...
Okay, but, the force projection across planets killed Luke.
Fair.
And
they've got the Force Skype.
I was gonna say
they've got Force Skype.
I was gonna say Force Skype isn't something that Obi-Wan and Yoda can do. That's a Rey and Kylo thing.
You never know. You never know. You know how the Force is BS sometimes. The Force powers increase exponentially, but even beyond audience's scope of or suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
You know I'm right.
I mean, the Force is the only reason Anakin's able to pod race. Pod racing was something that humans just can't do. So the fact that Anakin could do it and win is literally just Force hacks. Anyways, so I would give this series as a whole, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. And for the finale, an 8.
Yeah, the 8 is definitely solid for me as far as a finale. I like the first half of the episode, but some of the mistakes made in that episode, they don't allow me to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I wouldn't give it an 8.5 for sure.
But I don't know, just simplicity of the story now that I digest it all and just am amazed by episode 6 that I'm gonna have to give the series as a whole a 6. Not as bad as Boba Fett, I will say.
That's my problem with giving it a 6 is
Didn't we give Book of Boba Fett a 5?
I thought we gave it a 6 because...
I would have...
Because here's my thing. I wouldn't want to give it anywhere close to Book of Boba Fett or Hawkeye because it's better than those shows.
I mean, yeah.
So I wouldn't want to give it a 6.
To be fair, my opinion of Hawkeye has gone down. So yeah. I'm willing to put those two shows at a 5.
Yeah, I could give it a 5.
Yeah, but as far as Obi-Wan, I'm sticking with a 6. I'm feeling pretty compelled to leave it as 6. 6.5 if I'm generous.
I'll give it a 7, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Just a few missteps here and there. Now that I have the whole show to reflect on, it's just just some of the elevated parts of episode 6. None of the rest of the episodes compared to it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I would say episode 3.
Episode 3 is the only thing that comes close, and like I said, I'm only willing to give that episode a 7.
Fair.
Yeah.
Anyways, now that we have finished...
So, with Miss Marvel, we are going to be covering episodes 3 and 4. We'll do 5 and 6 next week. Even though episode 5 came out today, Sorry, didn't watch it. Had a very, very busy week.
Yep. So, we will refrain from, I will refrain from mentioning anything about episode 5.
But we do have a lot in episode 3 and 4 to discuss anyway.
Yes, so, God, it's been a little while since I've seen episode 3.
Episode 3 is the marriage episode.
Yes. So
we can start out by saying Kamala freaking out about finding out that she's a djinn.
Yes.
And them having to dance around the fact that she is literally a thing of childhood nightmares.
Yep. But, yeah, she's a djinn, but, you know, my opinion is that she's not. Or that djinn is just another term for inhuman.
Yeah. Which could be interesting because ultimately we won't know until the end of the show whether your theory is true or not, because like a lot of things are like coming up, like none of them disprove it but prove it either. They're still dancing on that line.
Yeah. It's mainly we're gonna know when when Captain Marvel shows up, because I am convinced Captain Marvel is making a cameo at the end of this series.
And she kind of has to, especially because Iman Vellani, when confronted about that, is like, the show writers are gonna do what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I am convinced that Brie Larson is gonna show up. If she showed up in Shang-Chi, she better show up in this.
But yeah, and. What else do I have to say about episode 3? Actually, I've spoken enough.
I like the wedding, personally. I really like the wedding. It was really nice. It's really fun seeing everyone just dancing and just having a great time.
I will say, like, this is another excellent episode of, like, indulging in Muslim culture.
Yeah.
Especially because they show off different parts of, like, weddings that typically American weddings don't have.
Yeah.
Or more Christian
more Christian-oriented weddings, yeah. And so I really like the affirming 3 times.
Yeah, I found that was actually pretty interesting that they did that.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's entirely different, but I can see, like, the cultural significance behind that one small not alteration, but difference, but between the two cultures.
Yeah, the dance number was incredible. The fact that even Bruno got in on it was amazing.
I mean, let's just face it. Like, the Muslim community has pretty much embraced him
at this point, Bruno's honorary Muslim.
He's not a real Muslim, but he's honorary. He's
an honorary. He is a Mino. No, he's a Miso because it's Muslim in spirit only, because he's not an actual Muslim. But I really liked it. The Najima turned on her very quickly,
which surprised but not disappointed.
I was like, okay, I'm glad they're not doing this whole song and dance. Like, will she? Won't she? She's like, no.
Like, she just jumps on it immediately.
She's just like, oh, you're not helping me? Okay, I'm gonna fucking force you because I don't want to take this chance. And Kamran is, still being, like, trying to be good and like, wait, what the fuck, Mom?
Oh, and a lesser show would have made Bruno much more petty than he is.
Oh, yeah.
Show. Like, a worse show would have let him get in the way of the whole fight.
Exactly.
Or the whole confrontation before the fight.
Exactly. And thankfully,
they don't tug on that line.
Yeah. One thing is when Kamala pulled the fire alarm, I was kind of surprised that people didn't notice the fact that, she pulled the fire alarm, but then 5 people with superpowers just got arrested outside. That's a pretty good fucking reason, if anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure pulling the fire alarm is the only reason DODC even shows up. They had no idea that these people even existed.
Yeah, they can't sense Nor at all.
So, if anything, I kind of didn't like how they framed it as her pulling the fire alarm was a bad thing, when objectively that saved people's lives. And the fact that everyone should know that 5 superpowered people just got arrested outside the wedding
2 weeks later, I still laugh at the kitchen scene where someone gets punched and the rest of the kitchen crew's like, nope, not dealing with this. I know what this is. I've lived in this universe for 15 or 10 years already. I'm not dealing with this.
You know, like, never. I mean, you gotta remember, this is Jersey City. New York City's right across, and let's be honest here, they probably have heard some shit.
Oh, so not even an influence of the MCU itself, just city life in general.
Yeah, but also, even with the influences of the MCU, we know the Tracksuit Mafia has a hold in Jersey City because we saw them in episode 1.
Oh, right, with the Trust a Bro truck.
So, we know that these groups do actually have some form of a foothold within,
Jersey City.
Within Jersey City, so they're like, you know what, fuck it. Fuck it! Let's just not even deal with it. If it's some gang shit, it's gang shit. If not, whatever. We're not dealing with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, obviously, they all got arrested. And I am surprised they didn't arrest Bruno and Kamala.
Let's just face it. They got away fairly lucky.
Yeah.
Like, even to the, like, edging on the point of plot convenience, but I can suspend my disbelief just a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, heat of the moment, maybe, but it's just edging a little bit there for me. I'm going to be honest with you.
Same. And then, obviously, Nakia finds out, and she's, like, pissed. What was her reasoning for not liking Nightlight?
It was because she was under the impression that if...
Oh, yeah, because DODC was fucking trying to get into the mosque.
Because her whole thing is that, like, if she did know, she's not, like, she probably doesn't care that DODC is having a negative impact on their community as a whole.
Yeah. Which is kind of like...
It's a reasonable stance to take.
It's a reasonable stance, but at the same time, I'm also thinking of the fact that, you know, the only 2 public appearances of Nightlight was saving children. So I'm kind of like, my opinion is like, yes, I understand Nakia's perspective, but at the same time, was she supposed to let these fucking children die? Because Nightlight's only public appearances has been saving children's lives.
Yeah.
So...
Well, and also, like, I guess it's also common knowledge that whoever Nightlight is fairly young, probably between, like, 17 and 22.
Yeah, like she was at fucking Avenger Con. Like, let's be honest here. It was a fucking Zoomer.
Yeah.
So, like... I understand Nakia's perspective, but, like, given everything that happened in the series so far, it's kind of like... I mean, how can you be that mad? Like, all she's doing is saving kids' lives.
Yeah. I think it's mostly because, from her perspective, like, the big day where she was voted in was ruined, and...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But...
Well, she hadn't been voted in yet. They were still counting.
But she inevitably did.
Yeah. And so then we move on to... So then the end of the episode, for episode 3, ends with her getting the vision of the train to go to Karachi.
Yeah.
And then her grandmother, Sana, is telling her, yes, you and your mom need to come.
Which I'm like, oh, we're going to get a complete departure from the formula established by the first half of the show. By the implication that they're going to Pakistan.
Yep. And then, episode 4, we're in Pakistan. And it's amazing.
Oh, yeah. I would say the culture aspects are a little bit weaker than the previous 3 episodes as far as, like, showing, like, Muslim or Pakistani culture, which the biggest hints we get to are, like, foods and clothing.
I actually think it's far more subtle. Things such as, the guy putting something in Kamala's hand, so then she has to pay him, is something very common to do to tourists.
Yeah, that's not like a Muslim thing. That's just a tourist thing.
It's a tourist thing, but it's something that they obviously could have just not done. But the fact that they did it, I think, is appreciated.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that they called her an ABCD, which is like it's kind of like how people in America describe certain Asian people as fobs. fresh off the boat.
Huh.
I had a lot of Asian friends in college, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the terminology of fob is very similar to calling someone an ABCD.
Yeah.
Or a banana.
Do I want to know?
Asian on the outside, white on the inside.
Okay. Wait. Now I have more problems.
It's made by Asian people, so it's okay.
Okay.
It's made by Asian people. It's the same thing as the ABCD, to demonstrate the fact that while we look the same, our culture or values are very different because of where we grew up.
Okay.
It's just very crude, yes. They say.
It is kind of crude.
Yeah, they say banana. Anyways, I really liked just seeing Muniba and Sana and Kamala together, just because they just work. Like 3 generations of women, just all with their own little unique dynamics with each other, but you can all tell they still love each other. Like Muniba, she came not because, well, obviously because Sana told them to come, but because she secretly wants to actually bring her mom back home. Sana's there because she wants to be able to ensure that Kamala can go through her life knowing who she is and not having to, constantly question her identity like how she had to growing up. And then obviously Kamala's there because she's trying to figure out her wider place in this world as a Jinn, a half Jinn.
Yeah.
Is she a half Jinn or is she a quarter Jinn?
She would probably be quarter, yeah.
She'd have to be a quarter Jinn because Aisha is the full Jinn, Sana is the half Jinn, and so Kamala has to be the quarter Jinn. That also brings up a question. If her brother used the bangle, would he get powers?
Based on what we're led to believe by the show, I would say yes.
Interesting.
Although I feel like he'd have even more of a freak out.
Oh, for sure. He's
the
the most devout one of them all. Of the family, he's the most devout Muslim of the 4. So if he found out he was a Jinn, he would lose his shit.
Because let's just face it, the man is borderline bankrupt. He's just starting to get married. The man's got a busy life.
I cannot wait for him to find out that Kamala's a fucking Jinn. Here's how it's gonna work. Her dad is gonna be so fucking excited. He is gonna be like, oh my fucking god. And her mom is gonna be like, so who's the boy?
I feel like there's gonna be I don't know. I feel like her arc with that's going to be a little more complicated. Because, let's just face it, there is baggage between her mom, and between her and her mom and her grandmother.
Yeah.
Because I rewatched episode 2, or I just rewatched the whole show in general, leading up to episode 4, and when Kamala's dad was talking about the one child being led by a trail of stars, and you see her react with such just regret and, well, not regret, maybe that's not the right word, just utter discomfort with the fact that he's telling that story. She knows what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's because
if you rewatch that scene with episodes 3 and 4 in mind.
Yeah, well, the main reason she's uncomfortable is because she's always grown up with her mom telling stories about, jinns and magic and all that shit. Which, to be fair, around the time that Muniba was growing up, the closest we had was Captain America and nothing else. I highly doubt that Muniba and anyone in Pakistan at the time knew or gave a fuck about Asgardians in Tonsberg, Norway, thousands of years ago. Yeah. So, at the time, superpowers wasn't all that,
Yeah, but based on rewatching episode 2, and with the context of 3 and 4 in mind, I have to be led to believe that Kamala's mom knows more than she's letting on, and that probably that Kamala's grandmother has mentioned these stories to her father.
Oh yeah, no. So my implication was always the fact that Yusuf and Yusuf's his name, right? Yeah, Yusuf Khan. Yeah, his name is Yusuf. Yeah, so that Yusuf and Maniba, my opinion was always that the way I interpreted it was that Yusuf and Maniba always knew what these stories were from Sana. It's just that, they didn't believe it because, at the time, magic didn't exist. The closest you had was that one dead American soldier back from World War II. So,
Because, let's be fair here, he has more, pride in telling those stories.
Yeah.
Whereas she is ashamed of those stories.
Yeah.
Like you see her when she's in the kitchen and he's there at the dinner table telling the stories with such joy, and you just see all of the emotion get flushed out of her.
Well, it's been mentioned before that Maniba felt that her mom wasn't there for her. Or, her mom was, her mom was there, but not there.
Yeah.
And in part, she probably feels that because of her mother's belief in these stories, it contributed to her mom not being there for her. Meanwhile, for Yusuf, since he wasn't raised by this, he sees it more as just, stories like the ones he grew up with, which is why he's so comfortable not just telling that story again, but also when he sees Bruno researching about it, how he's very, eager to talk about it and just give translations for it.
Okay. I'm looking at the potential that she knows more, and also because let's face the fact that a lot of the extended family know about Aisha.
Well, I don't think they know she's a jinn.
I don't think that.
I think
there's some hidden layer. I don't know what yet, but there's something they know.
I think what it is that... So, think of it like this. So, Najima and Aisha and the rest of them were exiled from the Noor dimension, and they landed in pre-partition Pakistan. Mm-hmm. I think it's more of the fact that during this time where there are very high tensions, specifically between Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, and others, that a strange woman showing up in a random village with no explanation is probably what led to the rumors more than anything, especially given the very highly distrustful time period of the time.
Yeah.
I think it's less of anything that Aisha actually did, but more so a commentary about the cultural, the cultural just chaos that is partition. Because in the beginning, her brother... Why am I forgetting her brother's name?
I don't remember names at all.
Her brother, he mentions the fact that every Pakistani family has a partition story, which I believe is pretty much true in the real world. But because of that, I believe that the whole thing with Aisha, because remember, it's coming from the Illuminatis, who are pretty old. And so I believe what it is just that during the high tension of the partition, where Muslims and Sikhs and Hindus and any other religious group were constantly being shuffled across borders, whether between East Pakistan, West Pakistan, or West Pakistan, East Pakistan, which would inevitably become Bangladesh, and India, discrimination happens, and so that.
Yeah.
I think that's what it really is.
And so, moving on from that,
we meet, what is the name of the guy? The Red Dagger. Not Waleed, the master, the kid.
Do we learn his name?
Yes, they call him by a nickname, and then he says his real name, too.
Yeah.
So I was completely wrong about Kamran becoming Red Dagger. I thought Kamran would have been the person Red Dagger, but no. They actually just went full on and was like, yeah, no, Red Dagger's gonna stay a separate character. Let me look it up.
Because is this the same or different from the comics?
Kareem. His name is Kareem. This is the same.
It's the same? Okay.
Yeah. His name is Kareem. I knew. Yeah, because they call him Chemo. That's what it is. They call him Chemo, short for Kareem.
Okay.
And so, yeah. So then we meet Kareem and Waleed, who are the Red Daggers.
Yeah.
Who are another ancient organization of people protecting the Earth from mystical threats. Which, at this point, I'm less annoyed of, like everyone else, because if you think of it from this perspective, the fact that superpowers, witchcraft, aliens, demons, multidimensional entities exist across the planet, it would make sense that there have been secret organizations across the planet throughout the years meant to combating these things and interacting with them.
Yeah.
From S.H.I.E.L.D. to the Ten Rings, to the Red Daggers, to Hydra, to everything.
And mind you, the Red Daggers is actually pretty minute in scale compared to everything else.
Yeah, the Red Daggers seem to be localized to Pakistan. Maybe they have influence in India and Bangladesh as well, but it seems to be within that area.
Yeah, because...
Meanwhile, the Ten Rings has influence everywhere, as we see in this episode.
Because even if we see only one branch of it, if it has multiple branches at all,
yeah,
like, we only see two individuals.
Yeah, which is Waleed, who seems to be the Grand Master, and Kareem. Which,
unfortunately, is swiftly killed.
Yeah, which, I mean, let's be honest here. We all knew he was going to die.
Unfortunately, his character screams mentor.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? We also saw the Ten Rings. Was it this episode, or was it episode 2 that showed the Ten Rings?
I don't recall seeing the Ten Rings.
So, remember the episode that opens with Aisha and Najima finding the bangle on the blue arm that we think is a Kree arm?
Right.
The floor is the logo of the Ten Rings.
Oh, and then I did watch that arm. Yeah, that arm was definitely blue.
Yeah.
That arm was definitely blue.
Yeah, but the Ten Rings also are a thing. And so there's been a lot of people theorizing the connection, potentially, between the Ten Rings and the clandestines. Specifically, potentially. So we know for a fact that the Ten Rings are alien in nature. And if we are presuming that the Bangles are also alien in nature, specifically from the Kree, it is potentially the fact that the Ten Rings are also Kree weapons. Well, no, they're not Kree weapons because Carol doesn't know what it is. But it could be that the Kree came into contact with the Bangles, but like the Ten Rings, the Bangles were made from another entity. Also, it has not been lost on me that this is now the third human hybrid character to have the ability to access godlike qualities.
Yeah.
Between Peter, with his father being Ego, with Shang-Chi, with his mother being, am I forgetting her name? It's it's Ying-Chi? Ying-Nan's the aunt. Was it Ying-Chi?
I don't think so. I don't remember, but...
I know Ying-Nan was the aunt, who's now the current master of Ta Lo. Ying Li. Okay. So yeah, with Shang-Chi being Ying Li's son, and then now Kamala being the great-granddaughter of Aisha, we have now seen multiple human hybrids being able to activate interstellar powers. So I wonder if that's actually gonna tie into something. I mean,
yeah,
it could be. It could tie into something, especially with we got Billy and Tommy are, they're the sons of a witch and a synthezoid.
I don't even want to talk about Doctor Strange 2 again.
I was more referencing WandaVision.
Yeah.
And then we also got Loki, Kid Loki, who is a frost giant raised by an Asgardian and a witch.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But,
I just found it really interesting that all these, like, hybrids are, like, the future.
Yeah. And then there is the end of the episode, which sees Kamala in the partition.
Yes. So, at this point, this basically confirms that the stars the entire time was Kamala.
Yeah, that's... Like, as soon as I rewatched episode 2, it's like, okay, I see where this is leading up to. I see it. Yeah, okay, yeah.
And so Kamala is the,
So, most likely episode 5, when I watch it, will be us getting to see that instance, and then... Is this series only going to be 6 episodes?
Mm-hmm.
God, I can't wait for She-Hulk to be, like... Isn't it 9 or 12?
Yeah, She-Hulk is going to be a breath of fresh air in terms of length.
Oh, yeah, because especially if, like... If it's going to be, like, a, What genre is it fulfilling again? You said it before. It's, real-time something.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
It's in the vein of the series 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I just don't... Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But... Yeah. Well, I guess I'll find out after this episode if I'm going to be right.
Yeah. But
only you know, so...
Yeah, and I won't tell you anything.
But as far as ranking episodes 3 and 4...
Yeah. I would give episode 3... I'd give episode 3 a 6.5, and I'd give episode 4 a 6.5.
I'm gonna reflect the same things. I'm just gonna give episode 4 a 7.
Actually, I actually do want to give episode 4 a 7 just because I really did like everything in Pakistan.
Yeah. Episode 3 had a few minor hiccups here and there. Like, as far as this series is concerned, like, the parts I'm loving the most are, like, the embrace of Muslim and Pakistani culture. But the series does kind of struggle with moving the plot along. Which, I mean, mind you, I'm enjoying the culture so much that I don't even care.
Yeah.
But by the point we get to episode 4, that strain might become evident. But episode 5 kind of has to kick in the plot anyway, considering that Kamala is literally stuck in the partition for now.
Yeah.
So, who knows, episode 5 might be all plot.
True. Anyways, so with that, we now need to move on to the rest of Marvel that we have missed and needed to talk about.
Yep, go on.
So, first of all, let us start with some mini things before we get into our other big Marvel segment. So, for one, so the movie Madam Web that we previously made fun of looks to be a co-production between Sony and Marvel Studios, in the same way that Spider-Woman and the home trilogy of Spider-Man films were a co-production.
Yeah. So, this is going to be like... Because Madam Web's whole thing is that she can tie the webs of the multiverse or something, correct?
So her main thing specifically is that she is a connection to all these spider totems. The spider totems are the various individuals through the multiverse that were bitten by the radioactive spider. So Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy, Miles Morales, Kimiko, Peter B. Parker, Peter Porker, Spider-Man Noir, Miguel O'Hara, the Indian Spider-Man, all of them.
Yeah.
And that includes Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire. Yeah. They are all considered, in the vast multiverse of this they are all considered spider totems.
Because, yeah, and I'm happy because, let's just face it, Sony can't be trusted. Sony cannot be trusted.
So, actually... Before you continue...
Oh, wait. We do need to talk about something else that happened. Did you hear the news that they were going to make Kraven the Hunter an animal lover? The disbelief in your face when I said that. They're going to make Kraven the Hunter's origin story that he used to be an animal lover. Again, Sony can't be trusted. So, we were joking about this before stream, but now that I've said this, I feel like you would agree more than ever before. We were joking that the incursion stated by Clea at the end of Doctor Strange 2 was Vulture leaking into the Sonyverse, and now we have an opportunity to destroy the Sonyverse once and for all. We have our opportunity, and now we can wipe the slate clean of the Sonyverse, and it would be canon, and there would be perfect reason to do so.
So what I was gonna say, now knowing that fact, this is gonna blow your mind even more. Kevin Feige writes notes for every one of the Sony movies.
You think he sabotaged it?
No,
you think he's trying to sabotage the Sonyverse?
No, but that makes me question a lot of things now.
Now I'm convinced he's trying to sabotage the Sonyverse so he can come in and destroy it himself.
Yeah. But he writes notes on all of the Sony. Fucking guy. An animal lover! Fucking shit.
Look it up, it's true.
I'm not looking that shit up. Are you fucking kidding me?
It was on r/Marvel memes for days.
I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Oh, sorry, in Roblox. But, okay.
Like I said multiple times, Sony cannot be trusted with their own property.
Well, at least they can't screw up El Muerto. It'd be very difficult for them to screw up El Muerto. Like, very difficult. Like, I don't know how the fuck you would screw up El Muerto. Okay.
Again, we can just wipe the Sonyverse off the face of the entirety of the MCU canon. Or no, just the Marvel canon.
Well, I mean...
Considering that, by the logic of the multiverse, the Sonyverse is an actual thing in the Marvel Comics line, considering that the Marvel Comics line ties to the MCU, and the MCU ties to the Sonyverse,
yeah,
it's inevitable that we can, pluck this disgusting growth away from Marvel Comics.
Dude, okay, well, before we get too ahead of ourselves, you do know there's going to be years down the line.
I will...
El Muerto comes out in 2024.
I will relish in the moment that the Sonyverse gets utterly annihilated. And every year of build-up is just another building of until we reach the climax. That is the incursion being swept under the rug.
Well, back to Madam Web, though. I don't think Madam Web is going to tackle that.
I'm not talking about Madam Web. I'm just saying, Clea brought up an incursion, and what other incursion have we seen ourselves in the theaters other than Vulture leeching onto the Sonyverse?
It could be the Nor dimension.
That's a dimension in Universe 1999, though.
It depends on how they consider. Because Tao Lo is considered a dimension, but also a universe.
But not a separate timeline.
Fair enough.
Because when we talk about multiverses in Marvel, we talk about mainly timelines.
Yeah.
But
what else?
We need to get back on topic.
So we have Madam Web, which is going to be pretty interesting now that Marvel is going to be involved, because there have been leaks that, one, Tom Holland did sign the Supermax contract. Why the fuck did I say Supermax contract? This isn't the NBA. He signed a massive contract with Sony, presumably for several more films, but also him, alongside not him, but Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and the 2 lead actors from Madam Web were all spotted together filming in London.
Oh yeah, who is leaked to be Madam Web? Did we get a reveal on that yet?
Yes, we did. Her name... Let me look it up real quick. It's not leaked. I'm pretty sure it was revealed in the trade.
Yeah, it was revealed. I don't think it was leaked.
Yeah, it was in a trade. I think it was in Deadline. Madam Web actress. Dakota Johnson.
Oh, 50 Shades lady. Oh, that is a massive stain on her career.
Oh my god, I feel so bad for her.
God.
Anyway, so yeah, Dakota Johnson's supposed to play Madam Web, which... So, this is going to sound really weird, and you're going to look at me with a whole bunch of weird champs, but, I don't know if she can play Madam Web.
Well, because...
Just because Madam Web is, at best, a gilf.
You're not wrong.
Because Dakota Johnson is young.
But you also have to remember, aren't there 2 versions of Madam Web, and she passes her powers on to the newer one?
The newer one doesn't look like a young woman last time I checked.
Because under the impression that there are 2 versions of Madam Web.
There may be, yeah.
Because...
Oh, yeah, there is a younger version, I guess. Yeah, I guess I'm only familiar with the older one. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's an animated version. Oh, I guess there is a younger version. Yeah. Okay, then that makes sense.
There are 2 versions. So, I believe you, because let's just face it, Madam Web, the original one, is old.
She's fucking ancient. So it's like, how the fuck are you gonna get Dakota Johnson to look ancient? But if they're gonna do the younger one, that makes more sense.
Yeah, because the whole thing with the younger one's origin is that I believe the older one passes down her powers to her, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So, Madam Web will be interesting now that it's a Marvel Studios property.
Now that Marvel Studios proper is involved, we can actually have faith in it after the depths that Sony has put us through for their last 3 movies.
Yes. So, other news that has come out is we've gotten some pictures of what the Atlanteans will look like in Wakanda Forever.
And they've got a little bit of a Mayan inspiration to them, too.
Yes, they not only have a Mayan inspiration, the actor that's going to be playing Neymar said that he had to learn a Mayan language for the role.
Ah, I didn't know those were still archived.
Yeah. So,
I would have thought that Mayan languages would have been genocided away. I'm going to be honest with you.
To be honest, I thought the same thing.
But good on us as a species for actually preserving that.
Yep.
Not high praise for us as a species, but we did it.
Yeah. So what was I gonna say? So they have a very Mayan look. So
are the Ironheart rumors that I've been seeing true as well?
Oh yeah. That was always true.
So the design for her suit has been leaked.
Yeah, I did see the design of her suit. It's very clunky,
which
I like it.
Which, I mean, it makes sense that she doesn't have like a slender Iron Man design, because let's just face it, Riri Williams is an intern. She's not Tony Stark.
Exactly. So
it would make sense that she needs a lot more to even attempt to come close to what he achieved.
She doesn't even have like a helmet like he does. She just has goggles like Sam.
Oh God! Please don't make the CG as bad as Mark Ruffalo in the in the Hulkbuster.
Okay, well, it doesn't look as bulky as the Hulkbuster, so
No,
I think you
I'm
could
not-
reasonably get away with like a decent costume design to the point where the CG won't look bad.
Because let's just face it, that CG looked bad.
Yeah.
Like that was the armpit stain on the perfection that was Infinity War.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. We also got to look at Namora, and this is something that I've noticed with the Atlanteans. Why is Namor the only one that looks human? And the reason why I ask this is because his cousin Namora is in this movie, and in the comics, Namora is also a hybrid like he is.
So with all this news that we're getting, I'm surprised they're tackling Ironheart, Atlanteans, and whatever's gonna happen in Black Panther 2.
Well, Black Panther 2 is most definitely going to be the war between Wakanda and Atlantis, and that's because in the comics, Namor and Black Panther have a history of fucking each other over. Mainly Namor fucking over T'Challa.
Oh god, I still have no faith in this goddamn movie.
But yeah.
I don't have any faith in this movie, and the fact that they're trying to, like, and somehow Ironheart's supposed to play a role in this?
So if I had to guess anything, how this is going to work is that Riri Williams is a student at MIT that was able to get her knowledge through the Wakandan Outreach Center in Compton, and that allowed her to go to MIT, which conveniently is also the school that Ned, Flash, and MJ are going to. So I believe that's how she's going to get to MIT. And in that time, she is probably going to make a trip to Wakanda, or is invited to Wakanda to show off some of her technology, something along those lines. And that is how she will end up in the plot. Meanwhile, I believe the big thing that is going to play between Atlantis and Wakanda is, do you remember in Endgame when there was the meeting of the Avengers, when the Avengers team consisted of Black Widow, it was Black Widow, Okoye, Nebula, Rocket, Captain Marvel, and War Machine?
Oh yeah, the space guy.
Yeah. So remember when Okoye says there was an underwater earthquake?
Oh yeah.
I think that's actually going to be the Atlantis tie-in.
Honestly, yeah.
I think so. Because we've been teased about the existence of Atlantis all the way back in Iron Man 2. So, yeah, maybe. I think that might be it. In terms of who the villain is, I have no fucking clue. I feel like the pseudo-antagonist is going to be Namor, but I have no idea who the main antagonist is going to be.
Does Namor have, like, an Ocean Master character tied to him at all?
So, Namor is Ocean Master. Namor is complicated. Namor first appeared in the comics when he fought alongside the original Human Torch and Captain America fighting Nazis in World War II. So, based. Then he has this whole thing, well, he's part mutant, part Atlantean, and he has this massive crush on Sue Storm, like Mr. Fantastic and Doctor Doom. So they kind of beef over that. And then there's also the fact that Namor is a king, and there are a lot of kings in Marvel that are super people. You have Doctor Doom, king of Latveria. You have T'Challa, king of Wakanda. You have Thor, king of Asgard, and you have Namor. You have Namor, king of Atlantis, and you have Black Bolt, king of the Inhumans. So Namor has this whole thing where he begrudgingly respects the other kings, but also will not hesitate to backstab them, which he does when Thanos comes looking for his son Thane in the Infinity Comics. Namor says, oh yeah, your son's in Wakanda. And so Thanos destroys Wakanda. To which Black Panther gets pissed and in return destroys Atlantis.
Huh.
Yeah. So Namor, by and large, is a dick.
Again, I have no faith in this movie.
I don't. Which is really sad because I really like the original Black Panther.
Yeah, because, let's face it, Black Panther had a huge cultural impact. And based on the fact that this movie's supposed to come out this year, right?
Yes.
And we still know little to nothing, and we're only getting news this week.
Yep.
It's not looking good.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not looking good. They might drop the ball hard on this. And I really hope that Thor Love and Thunder is good because the movies have been dropping the ball lately.
Yeah. So, hopefully we'll see Thor Love and Thunder. But before we get to that, I do want to talk about some other things. One, they changed the name of Jessica Jones.
That's right. On Disney Plus, it's now also known as Jessica Jones.
Yeah, aka Jessica Jones, which was actually what it was supposed to be called. So, the title of aka Jessica Jones as a series apparently dates back to the original 70s series of The Incredible Hulk. And then it was the code name for it when it was going to be done by ABC. And then it was also the code name for the Netflix series before they decided what as Jessica Jones. And now they are doing it aka Jessica Jones because it is being leaked that Jessica Jones will return in the Daredevil revival series on Disney Plus, and will most likely spin off into another Jessica Jones series.
Okay.
We also have Jason Segel apparently playing the Thing in She-Hulk.
We've got the Thing already.
I mean, we already have Mr. Fantastic.
Do you think it'll be with or with his powers or before they get their powers? Because if they introduce him as a character now,
part of me thinks he has to have his powers. See, considering the other characters that have shown up, you have Titania, you have She-Hulk, Hulk, you have Abomination, Frogman. These are all people with visible alterations to themselves.
See, yeah, because the thing is that this show is going to heavily imply the fact that, oh yeah, a bunch of characters with powers will be showing up and will be needing legal services. That is the whole preface of the show.
Exactly.
But I feel like we need, see, this is another Spider-Man situation where we don't, we've seen his origin story multiple times, so we can survive seeing the character without an origin story. But we kind of need a good one for these characters. We need these characters to get the justice they deserve.
Watch The Incredibles.
Jokes aside.
Yes, so jokes aside, though. Part of me feels that, considering Multiverse of Madness has already shown that in a relatively present-ish time, Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four are already a big thing in other universes, that potentially it's just that in our universe, the Fantastic Four are an underground group of scientists.
I would...
Because the main thing, and the reason why, is because She-Hulk has been a member of the Fantastic Four. So it kind of would make sense to maybe debut them with her. On top of that, I do think that they may want to introduce them before. I do want to think... No, not before. What I mean is, I do think they want to introduce them already having their powers to set up pre-established relationships. She-Hulk is on great terms with the Fantastic Four, and Johnny Storm and Peter Parker are, best friends. In terms of non-Harry Osborn best friends, it's Johnny Storm. And one would think potentially with the new Spider-Man trilogy, that potentially they want him to make new friends in the wider superhero world that are superheroes. And they already have the Fantastic Four. In fact,
if they introduce all of their characters, maybe if they introduce them recovering from, because we know
we all know the origin story.
We know the origin story. Scientific accident gone wild. If they show them, in separate movies, recovering from and learning about their powers later on, I can buy that.
I think
Having
they may
an origin,
I think they may go with that.
that I can buy. Them discovering their powers or maybe like suffering from the symptoms starting to appear. Like extend that like super jokey scene from the 2000s Fantastic Four and make it like grounded and like the characters actually suffering to go through it. And then they bring them together for a movie. That way the movie skips the origin story. That I'll be perfectly fine with.
Yeah. I think that could work. Especially because I think they want to introduce these characters as already having pre-established relationships. And the biggest thing is you have to remember Doom. Doom has to be a pre-established figure right now.
Yeah.
If he's Doctor Doom, King of Latveria already, the Fantastic Four have to already exist.
Yeah.
And I think Doom does exist.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
What I want is... Because too many times they've screwed up the Doctor Doom metal mask.
Mm-hmm.
They better make that thing look menacing because the Fanforstic mask looked awful.
Yeah.
And the 2000s Fantastic Four looked goofy as hell. So I want this to be a menacing mask, and I will be on the costume designers for making sure that it looks good. Because if they screw up the mask, I'm sorry, but all the menace that character carries comes from that goddamn mask.
True. Quick question. Do you want his face to be scarred and deformed, or no? Because
the whole thing is that, like, the whole thing about the mask is that he was so ready to put on that mask that it, like, brutally burned his face, and the metal, like, mask stuck to his skin.
No, so there have been some iterations where there's an accident in the lab that Doom, like, thinks has ruined his face, and so that's why he starts wearing the mask. And then it's revealed that under the mask, he didn't have a scarred face, but it was just a small blemish. But he treated it as such a horrible thing that it was like his face was scarred and deformed.
Oh, so then we're probably talking about different iterations of the character.
Yes.
Because the one I'm familiar with is, like, he was making the mask to, like, make the suit to amplify his powers, and then he was so happy with the results that he was so quick to put it on that it brutally scarred his face and that the mask stuck to his skin.
Yeah. There's some iterations where that happened. There's other iterations where it's another science accident that him and Reed were working on, which leads to him believing that Reed has sabotaged him. Mm. So...
Well, if they make his origin tied to more characters, I feel like that would be healthier for the MCU.
That his face isn't scarred?
Yeah, if his or not that his face isn't scarred, but that his origin is more tied to other characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, next up, something we didn't also get to talk about was the fact that we have a new Disney Plus show coming out, Wonder Man, made by Destin Daniel Cretton. So, a while ago, we had a segment where we theorized about what Destin Daniel Cretton's new series was. We thought it was going to be the Ten Rings series, and then we also posited that it could be Marvel Zombies because it was supposed to be a comedy. We have now learned that it is going to be a Wonder Man movie.
Yeah.
So, first of all, if Wonder Man is not played by Nathan Fillion, we are going to fucking riot. Nathan Fillion was supposed to play Wonder Man all the way back in 2014 during the original Guardians of the Galaxy. He better get this fucking role.
But what other characters are going to be tied into this series?
So the main thing about Simon Williams is that he is a Hollywood actor, stunt actor that also ends up running a corporation.
Huh.
And his corporation comes into conflict with Stark Industries. He gets powers, and he's an on-again, off-again type of... He was on-again, off-again villain, but then he becomes a good guy. And in fact, this is actually really interesting. Vision's brainwaves in the comics are based off of Wonder Man's. So, some people have come to theorize that maybe Scarlet Witch's next appearance will be in Wonder Man.
Because let's just face it, that character is not dead.
Yeah, no, she's definitely not dead.
If you've seen any movie ever,
yeah, you know she's not
Wanda's
dead.
not dead.
So some people are thinking she may appear in Wonder Man.
I'm more led to believe that Vision will show up more than her. I mean...
Yeah, no, so some people are thinking it's both.
Both?
Not that she'll be a main character, more that she'll, like, cameo.
I'd have to give that some thought, because ultimately putting both of them in the show will detract a bit from the main plot, because, well, then again, these writers are pretty smart. They could find a way to implement that safely. But
the other reason is also, so remember when WandaVision first came out, and you remember the black and white animated intro based off of the Jetsons that they had?
Yeah.
So during the intro, when it's going between the floorboards, there's a helmet in between the floorboards, and the helmet is that of the Grim Reaper. In the comics, Wonder Man's brother is the Grim Reaper. In the comics, the Grim Reaper is an assassin, most notably known for working for Hydra. And in sub-iterations, he is the one that ends up getting his brother powers, like in Avengers Earth and Mightiest Heroes. He's the reason Wonder Man gets powers by manipulating him into becoming a Hydra guinea pig. So, I firmly believe that the main villain is going to be his brother, Eric Williams, aka the Grim Reaper. And I do believe that we will see potentially an appearance by Vision and a cameo by Wanda. And by Vision, I mean White Vision.
Who's essentially Vision at this point.
Yeah. If anything, potentially how it could be is that White Vision is a Vision that has the old Vision's memory, but the personality of Wonder Man. It all depends on how they go with how Wonder Man's going to achieve his powers.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Wonder Man is a thing. I am actually excited for this because it's going to be a comedy. Because this is going to be about an actor in Hollywood doing shitty documentaries and movies. Here are some of the things he's supposed to have starred in universe. He is going to be in Tony Stark. He will be in Archon. And he will be in Toxic Janitor 2. Where he'll be playing the eponymous Toxic Janitor. What the fuck are these things? Well, this.
That's just a worse version of the Toxic Avenger. What the hell is this?
It's a janitor holding a radioactive broom in front of the American flag.
This better not. They better not do the same thing they did with Rogers the Musical, where the end credit scene is them showing the first 5 minutes of this goddamn movie.
Well, they also have him playing as Archon, which is what looks like a fucking caveman piloting a spaceship. So, he's not caveman. He's a Polmachian.
A what?
Polmachian. Because in the comics, Archon is a warrior and the ruler of Polmachis, who fought against the Avengers. His appearances on Earth inspired a series of sword and sorcery action movies, with Simon Williams portraying the villain in Archon 4 as his breakout role. Right. He's also going to be in other things such as Rebecca, Dead Before Arrival, and Haxon 2. They even have posters for it. Nathan Fillion better fucking play. So, yeah. So, that's Wonder Man. Fucking toxic. I cannot wait to see Toxic Janitor. I want to see Toxic Janitor in this show.
Can we move on? Can we move on?
Fine. What else happened? What's it? Oh yeah, so people are talking about Gambit potentially being in Echo, because Echo is apparently going to have parts taking place in Louisiana, which is where Gambit is from. It's from good old New Orleans. So we have that. We also had Jesus Christ, why is so much shit? There's rumors of a 2023 Halloween special. This time, Man-Thing. So 2022 is supposed to have Werewolf by Night coming out this Halloween. And rumors are that next year, it's going to be Man-Thing. Also, I Am Groot just got greenlit for its second season.
Which, cool. The sad thing is that they won't be considered canon.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Canon until they say otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah. And then obviously some people are saying, also some people are talking about how Elsa Bloodstone is most likely going to be in Werewolf by Night, and that is going to set up Midnight Suns. So, yeah. Anyways, with all of that shit that happened out of the way, let's talk about our final MCU segment, Thor: Love and Thunder.
It's coming out this week.
Crept up on us just as Miss Marvel did.
Honestly, yeah.
So, I'm expecting this movie to be good because they cut out a lot of shit. I believe they even cut out... So they cut out Jeff Goldblum. He's cut from the movie. They cut out Lena Needy. She got cut from the movie. Apparently from Natalie Portman, a whole bunch of shit got cut. Which, in my opinion, is good. Because if they're willing to let these scenes go, it means that Taika Waititi and the editing and production crew know that there's fat that can be trimmed and they can afford to do it even if they spent money on it.
Yeah, because based on the small clips that we've been shown throughout all of YouTube, the characters will be strong in this like as far as like characterization is concerned. Their characterization will be really strong. Like we talk on the podcast before about how Lady Thor is going to be a lot cheesier this time around. It's going to be first time we have a character this cheesy.
I don't think we have. I believe that information came out while we were still on hiatus.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. With her fucking like awkward ass catchphrase.
Oh yeah, that is very comics, like early 90s comics booky.
And it is fitting because we have to remember that, yes, she looks like Natalie Portman, but Jane Foster is a fucking nerd. I think the biggest thing that showed that she's a fucking nerd was What If? The Party Thor episode really showed the fact that, yeah, she's a fucking nerd and she's a little awkward.
Oh, you gotta dig deep for that one. You gotta dig deep for the worst of the What If episodes.
But it has some of the best Jane Foster characterization we've seen.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So yeah, she's a fucking dork.
I mean,
so her being a superhero, she should reflect that yes, she is Thor, who was her ex-boyfriend, but she's a superhero now, and that she's awkward because how the fuck do you superhero?
Yeah, it's funny because like a lot of the new female leads that we've been getting are like fangirls, with the except like we got Kate Bishop, who's a total fangirl.
Yeah.
We got Captain or Miss Marvel, who is a total fangirl, and now we have Lady Thor, who's going to be super cheesy in this.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for that.
Oh, we also got She-Hulk, who is just like every mid-30s woman that is like, I hate my life, I just want to have sex and get through my job. And then...
So at least we'll see a departure there.
Yeah, and then we also had Scarlet Scarab.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And she was amazing.
Yeah, and she was actually pretty different.
Yeah. Far different, actually.
Yeah.
She was At times, more competent than Mark. But Moon Knight as a whole was amazing. But back to Thor Love and Thunder. Actually, speaking of Moon Knight, the writers of Moon Knight and the writers of Thor Love and Thunder were in constant contact with each other regarding to the development of each other's plots, considering the fact that Thor Love and Thunder is about the death of the gods.
Yeah, because Gore the God Butcher's the whole thing is that he butchers gods.
Exactly, and Moon Knight is a series that focuses a lot on the gods.
So we might see some dead Egyptian gods already.
Yeah, potentially. They said they were in constant contact with each other, so who knows what references to Moon Knight we're going to see. So did you see in one of those trailers those Celestials at Zeus's place?
No.
So there are 2 Celestials at Zeus's cities, and they are significantly smaller than Arishem. If anything, they look around the same size as Esson the Searcher, who we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy 1. He was the Celestial with the Power Stone. And he was small enough to fit on the surface of a planet. Meanwhile, Arishem is literally, like, the Earth is his chest.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing 2 more Celestials in Omnipotent City. That's the name of the city that Zeus has. We saw 2 Celestials there.
Now, do Celestials specifically have to be born on planets, or can they be born on moons too? Because I
believe they're planets. Because the way it works is that the Celestials are born from planets, and they create life, and the balancing act to that is Galactus, who feeds on planets to maintain balance.
Yeah, because my whole thing is, like, maybe the explanation of size difference is that they were born on a moon instead of planets, but I can't explain it.
I mean, I guess there's nothing saying that it couldn't be a moon if the moon housed significant amount of life.
Yeah, because then again,
But then again, the celestial egg is what's put on there to form life.
Yeah, and considering the fact that Earth crossed the threshold to sustain the amount of energy to create a celestial, I don't know. It's very weird, especially considering how big the celestial that was about to be born on Earth was.
Yeah, that was massive. Far bigger than what Esson the Searcher would be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, we saw those Celestials, so I'm interested in knowing what the roles of the Celestials are going to be. Because we know there's references to Eternity and Infinity and the Living Tribunal, so I know there are going to be references to that, so I'm interested in seeing where the Celestials will tie into this.
Yeah.
What's your over-under on the survival rate of Zeus?
You want me to be honest on that?
What's the over-under?
You want me to be honest on that? Because here's what's going to happen. Either he's just a one-off character and they kill him, or they characterize him really well and then they kill him. So either he's going to be a one-and-done character, or the audience is going to fall in love with him and then they kill him.
He is played by Russell Crowe.
That's what leads me to believe his characterization might be pretty good.
And then he's just going to die.
And then he's going to die.
Yeah. I mean, unless there's some other gods that are going to get killed, like Bast. But then again, I don't know how much that would fuck with Black Panther if Bast dies.
You can't really kill Bast, let's be honest here.
Unless the premise of Black Panther 2 is that Bast dies in Thor Love and Thunder, and that's the reason why the shit's happening in Wakanda.
Oh, please, let's stop talking about that movie.
So I'm excited for Zeus. I think he has to die, considering everyone is using his lightning bolts, but not him, unless he's in the final battle and they're just cropping him out for some reason. What do you think is like? So what do you think is going to be, like, the main emotional conflict for Thor? Because in the comics, Thor fought Gore while he still had Mjolnir. And despite winning and beating Gore, he always feared something that if ever admitted to himself on a conscious level would ruin him, which was the idea that Gore was right. And Nick Fury whispers that in Thor's ears. And whispering Gore was right instantly made Thor unworthy of ever wielding Mjolnir. Because once it was said, it got to his conscious mind, which then made him feel, what if Gore was right? And if Gore is right, then Thor doesn't need to exist. Thus, he's no longer worthy for Mjolnir.
So that's the thing. Because literally in his last appearance, he was worthy of wielding Mjolnir. And then the clips shown in Thor Love and Thunder implies that he's not.
Well, not that he's not, but that he's not its primary wielder. Kind of like how Vision is worthy, but let's be honest here, if Vision tried to call Mjolnir and Thor tried to call Mjolnir, I think Thor's gonna get it. I think it's something more like that, where Mjolnir now has like a true like owner, but Thor is obviously still worthy of using it.
Yeah. Then again, I'm basing that whole speculation on just one clip that I've seen rather than the whole movie.
Yeah, and I think the whole coming in and then getting pulled away is more for dramatic effect than for actual.
Oh no, I was more leaning on the scene in the building where he tries to call it and Stormbreaker comes instead.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Oh no, so there's a scene where Jane Foster's holding it while she's having like a conversation with the people, and he tries to subtly bring it over, like try to call it back to him while her attention is diverted, and then Stormbreaker just comes in slowly.
I haven't seen that. That sounds hilarious.
No, it's really good. I'll show it to you when we're done with the podcast.
That's actually hilarious.
No, it's a really good clip.
Okay. I like that.
Because that's more from where I'm speaking from, because it's actually really good.
Okay. Then, so yeah, I do wonder what his emotional arc with Gore is going to be, and also what Jane's whole thing with Gore is going to be, because the aftermath of Gore the God Butcher leads to one of the many stories that led into Original Sin, and from what sprouted from Original Sin was Jane Foster then being able to wield Mjolnir.
Yeah, because there is one line from one of the first trailers to come out, which was, "You're not like the other gods I've faced."
Yeah.
Which it's probably going to weigh pretty heavily on the final confrontation.
Yeah, but that depends on who he's talking about. Is it Thor? Is it Jane? Is it Valkyrie? Is it Lady Sif? Because you got to remember, she's supposed to be in this movie. And the last we saw of her was when she fought... Was it she fought Lorelei during season 2, or was it she fighting the Kree soldier in season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Ignoring the time cell in Loki, yeah. That's the last time we see her as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, where... Was it Lorelei she was fighting, or was she fighting the Kree soldier?
Lorelei was the first time she came down, right? Because
that was Thor the Dark World. So yeah, this is when she fought Vintak, the Kree soldier that had amnesia.
Yeah.
So, that was our last time seeing her, which was then.
Yeah, and not the last time we see the actress, though. Again, we got the time cell in Loki.
Yeah. And then, also, do you think Beta Ray Bill is going to be in this?
I mean, potentially.
But the thing is...
What characters is he linked to again?
Beta Ray Bill?
Yeah.
He is the... so in the comics, he and Thor fought because he was worthy of Mjolnir too. Thor went to his planet, and Beta Ray Bill called Mjolnir to defend himself. Not like knowingly did it. It was unconscious. And that's when they realized he's worthy. So then after him and Thor fight and they become friends, him and Thor go to Asgard and they tell Odin. And so Odin bestows upon him Stormbreaker. In the comics, Stormbreaker is Beta Ray Bill's weapon, not Thor's. Thor has a different weapon that he uses in the comics that's not Mjolnir. It's an axe. And that axe is what he currently uses in the comics, I believe. Mm. And so I'm guessing what they would do, I guess what they would do is, I guess they could switch it around with Jane getting to keep Mjolnir, Thor getting Stormbreaker, and I guess what would I'm gonna look up really quickly. I believe the name of Thor's axe is Thunderstrike, but I could be wrong. No, Thunderstrike is a different Asgardian weapon. So yeah, either way. Do you think he'll be in it?
Just because of how much this movie has to juggle, I'm gonna say no.
Because considering how small this movie is, I think Beta Ray Bill probably got cut.
Yeah.
They referenced him in Thor Ragnarok. He was one of the previous champions in the Grandmasters Arena. He has his own statue. But I don't think he'll be in it. But I hope if there's a Thor 5, I hope he's in it. Also, I forgot to mention, they are now in talks for a Korg miniseries spun-off of Thor Love and Thunder. I'm not joking about that one. So, yeah.
I'm still waiting for something to come between that, or come from the review of Free Guy that Deadpool and Korg did.
Oh, that's definitely going to happen in the Deadpool 4.
Right.
What else is there? We talked about Nova, right?
I think we did.
I think we talked about Nova because it's been a little while since Nova was announced. Oh yeah. So, any other hopes you have for Thor: Love and Thunder?
I just hope it's good.
I hope it's good too.
We have seen a sudden decline of the movies. The shows have been inconsistent.
Yeah.
But the movies are showing a decline, unfortunately.
Yeah, between Morbius and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The past two movies haven't been all that
And then
good.
we already know that Black Panther 2 is going to be bad.
I'm willing to have my mind changed, but I have no expectation. I have no good expectations for this movie. But at least we know we also have the Marvels coming out next year, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
So
we have
the Marvels. I actually do have hope for because here's.
Oh yeah, I have hope for the Marvels
because
too.
Let's just face it, that like Iman Vellani is killing it in the role of Miss Marvel.
Yeah, and Teyonah Coates was already good at Teyonah Paris. She was already good in WandaVision.
Yeah.
And then obviously Brie Larson, she plays Captain Marvel pretty well. So, I think the Marvels is actually going to be really interesting.
Yeah, because oh man, this movie has to be good because otherwise my hopes for the future of the MCU are going to diminish greatly.
Yeah. What do you think of? Did we talk about the Thunderbolts series?
I think we did briefly on what it could be, or what it could be, and what heroes could be in it.
Because I believe it's officially announced now, right?
Yeah, it's been officially announced at this point.
Yeah. Did that happen during our hiatus? So many shows got announced.
It got greenlit during the hiatus. It was leaked before.
Yeah. Okay. So it got greenlit. So let's briefly talk about Thunderbolts. I think that because the various actors they have on standby are Sebastian Stan. They have Olga, can't pronounce her last name, Taskmaster, Florence Pugh, what's his name? Kurt Russell, the actress that plays Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I'm still thinking, like, in the back of my head, is she really still alive? Because last I checked, her last ability to stay alive was thwarted by Ant-Man 2.
It was thwarted by Thanos.
Yeah, like, in the end of Ant-Man 2.
Yeah.
Let's just face it here, it was very questionable if she was left alive or not.
Yeah, but apparently her actress is on standby, as well as Daniel Bruhl, who played Xena. So all those actors are on, and obviously Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So all those actors are currently on standby to potentially be put in this movie. I had never thought of the idea of Bucky being on the Thunderbolts, but I love the concept.
Let's just face it here.
He would be the first one.
Like, let's be honest here. What else can he do? Because he's not conscribed to the military at all.
Yes, he is.
Or
he is in the military.
I was always under the impression he was like a free agent or something.
No, remember, in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he's called Sergeant Barnes by other military officials.
Okay. I was just under the impression he wasn't active anymore.
No, he's still active in the military. He still has the rank of sergeant within the army. And because the cops also call him Sergeant Barnes as well when they look him up in the system, as well as the fact that he's getting former Hydra agents arrested for the government as an active operative.
Okay. I was more leaning on the fact that he's not like part of an official team.
Yeah, he's not part of an official superhero team, but like Sam, they both work for the army currently.
Yeah. Well, Sam, it's a little more obvious that he is a member of the military. He does stuff there. Like that was a lot more obvious for him.
Yeah. Actually, do you know what's actually kind of crazy? The more that I've thought about it, in the aftermath of everything that's gone on post like Endgame, the United States military has gotten monstrously more powerful. Because Rhodey obviously still works for the military.
Yeah.
The Department of Damage Control has all of the Edith drones. Both Bucky and Sam and John Walker are all members of the United States military. What was I gonna say? Sharon Carter now works in the CIA. And mind you, she is using it to steal weapons, but at the same time, she's also going to be still doing her job in the CIA. And she's still a valuable asset at that.
Yeah.
So the United States government actually has gotten out pretty good in terms of becoming a bigger superpower.
Oh, God.
And so with the Thunderbolts, that's even more to their arsenal. So, oh yeah, obviously Tim Roth. Tim Roth was also in that lineup of people.
Oh yeah, that's right. I was thinking about the other guy, not Tim Roth.
Yeah. But, so Bucky potentially being on the Thunderbolts would be really interesting. I think he'd be the team leader, if anything.
Kind of has to be.
Yeah.
He is the more seasoned of any of them.
Yeah, because he's the oldest.
Literally old enough to remember when Hobbit came out.
Actually, no, I don't think he will be the leader. Reason being is that if they're looking at Daniel Bruhl, then Baron Zemo has to be the team leader.
That could actually be interesting if Bucky's going to be on the team.
Because, and the reason why I say that is I think that the Thunderbolts is going to be a combination of the comic version of the Thunderbolts and not the Dark Avengers like some people have theorized, but actually the Masters of Evil. I think it's actually going to be the Masters of Evil run by Baron Zemo, but they will call it the Thunderbolts. And so we'll have, because if you can imagine a lineup like this, Baron Zemo at the head, you got Taskmaster, you got U.S. Agent, you got Ghost, you got Abomination, you got the Winter Soldier, and you have Black Widow. That's a pretty devastating team. Especially because almost all of them are trained professionals at killing people. Baron Zemo was part of Sokovian Special Forces.
So explain to me more about the Masters of Evil, because half of the lineup I don't see doing bad deeds.
Well, no. What I mean is that when I say it's the Masters of Evil, what I mean is that it's going to be an incarnation of it in the sense that it will be a team run by Zemo. Because in the comics, Zemo also runs the Thunderbolts, and in a way, the Thunderbolts felt like the successor to his original team, the Masters of Evil. So I think they're going to take aspects of the fact that it could be the Masters of Evil, in the sense that this will be Zemo's first foray in leading a team of individuals on his own. But they will have the name the Thunderbolts. So you see what I'm saying?
So what is it that they do?
Masters of Evil?
Yes.
What the fuck do you think they do? They're evil. They do evil people shit.
So here's the thing: is that half of the people on that team aren't really villains.
No, what I mean is when I say it's an incarnation of Master of Evil, not that they are going to be evil,
okay,
but that they're going to be the version of a team run by Zemo, but instead of the Thunderbolts, which was Zemo's second foray in leading a team, the dynamic is going to be like that of the Masters of Evil, where it's his first foray in running a team of superhumans.
Okay, so it's just going to be the members, not the actual concept.
No, the concept. The concept of this being Zemo's first team.
No, I mean, like... Because are you implying that the Thunderbolts will be... Because the Thunderbolts are basically like the Suicide Squad of Marvel, right?
Yeah.
So, my impression is that they won't be doing evil deeds.
They will be doing morally questionable things, because they will be working for the United States government.
Okay. That's a little better, because when you say, oh, they're going to be like the Masters of Evil in concept, I'm like, half of these people aren't evil. Like, if you say doing morally questionable things, okay, that I understand.
Yeah. Well, you also have to remember, like, all of them are former...
Like, I can see them doing mercenary tasks. I just don't see, like...
Well, that's the thing. Mercenary task, depending on who you ask, is straight up evil.
Yeah, but...
And you have to remember, of them all, the one that is the least likely to be evil is John Walker and Abomination. Because the rest of them are assassins.
Yeah.
That kill. Because remember, Ghost was a SHIELD assassin. Bucky was a Hydra assassin. Taskmaster was the Red Room assassin. And so was Yelena.
Yeah. So I think the jarring part...
And also, what was it? And then, yeah, so they're all assassins. We know Zemo did assassination work when Hydra broke up. And the only ones that aren't assassins are the Special Forces, which are John Walker and...
So, I'm just...
What's his face?
I think it's a little jarring leading up with, oh, they're, like, these concepts are... Or they come from the concept of the Masters of Evil. When in my mind, I'm thinking, like, okay, after the character development of both Taskmaster and Ghost, I can't see them being outright evil.
No.
So I think when you say, like, oh, they're like the Masters of Evil in concept, I'm like, sorry, but, like, I can name multiple characters that aren't evil on this team. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think that's where the disconnect was for that.
Yeah. But
when you say morally questionable, like mercenary work, that's where okay, now I can buy this. Now I can jump on board with, like, yeah, Ghost doing work for the U.S. military that is morally questionable. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's more morally questionable mercenary work. Like, the type of jobs that you wouldn't send Sam and Rhodey to do, you send the Thunderbolts to do.
Right.
Like, that's what it is. And I think that would be really interesting. It'd be really interesting, especially if we saw them fight other factions. Like, it'd be interesting to see them fighting, like, the Ten Rings. Or fighting the Red Daggers. Or, you know.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really interesting. And it also would give us more of the ability to see other superpowered factions that just haven't been mentioned in the movies.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I'm excited for it, actually.
Yeah.
Okay? And fucking Christ, we have been live for a while. But we have... Was that our last media?
That was our last media.
Okay, because we didn't talk about DC or anything, right?
Yeah, no, nothing came out for DC.
Nothing came out DC, nothing came out Pokemon. There was that Nintendo... There's the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. The only thing of note for us was Persona 5R and Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable, all coming to the Nintendo Switch.
And also Three Hopes getting released.
Three Hopes has been released. I don't have it yet, so I have not played it. I've heard it's good.
Demo's pretty good.
Are you going to get the full version?
I gotta play through the rest of the routes on Three Houses. I'm sorry, but...
Alright, you haven't finished Three Houses!
I've only played one of the routes, and I'm gonna be honest with you. Considering the fact that the game literally starts with the time skip, like things that happen right when the time skip starts.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I gotta catch up. I gotta know what happens in the other... Especially considering when there's a implied rivalry between Byleth and Shez.
Yeah. Also, you should probably get the DLC
I probably should, actually, honestly.
because all the DLC characters are in Three Hopes.
Yeah.
You gotta, and also remember the DLC, the main story content is in the pre-time skip era, but there are a lot of lore expansions that become known by having them in the post-time skip.
Yeah. I will say, I have deeply wanted to play a hack and slash game for a while, and Warriors is settling that for me.
Okay. So,
I think laying the groundwork for Nintendo IPs to be translated into Warriors games is cool because they lead to more lore.
what about Mario Warriors? Super Mario Warriors.
And we've already got Kingdom Battle and Sparks of Hope. They have their thing.
That's XCOM, though. That's not Warriors.
They've got their thing. We don't need a Mario Warriors game.
Fine.
They've got their little spin-off that they're having.
Okay. Anyways, so there was the partner showcase. There was nothing new in Pokemon to our knowledge.
No more Ezra Miller slander, unfortunately.
Yeah, no more Ezra Miller. I'm trying to think of anything else we could have missed because a lot happened during our hiatus.
I think that's all that really relates to what we have to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, I guess in DC Comics news, Dark Crisis issue number 1 came out, and it was decent. It is basically about Jonathan Kent basically taking the mantle of Superman because his father is now gone, and he wants to lead a new Justice League, so he gets a team of him, Supergirl, Blue Beetle, the Blue Beetle that is Ted Kord, Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Frankenstein, and Killer Frost.
Huh. They really had to scramble together that team, huh? To put Booster Gold on there.
Hey. Booster Gold is the greatest superhero you've never heard of.
Exactly.
But yeah, so he also tries to get Black Adam to join him, and Black Adam's like, I appreciate the sentiment that you're doing, but you are not experienced enough to do this shit. Oh yeah, and Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne's on the team, of course, because they're best friends. Yeah. So, but Black Adam's like, no, I appreciate the effort, but you're way too young, you're way too inexperienced, and this is not a real Justice League. He says the only man he would ever respect to lead a team right now is Nightwing. And Nightwing isn't going to lead it because him and the Titans are running the Titans Academy, which then gets bombed by Deathstroke. And Beast Boy gets shot in the head by Deathstroke, thus ending their big arch rivalry that the two have had over the past 30 years of comics. Deathstroke killed him. So Beast Boy is now currently dead. How many years do you think he'll stay dead?
I give it 3.
I give it 2. I give it 2 years that he'll stay alive.
All right.
And so that was Dark Crisis, and I believe that was everything we have missed. Let us now get into the other stuff that we've missed in the politics world, which is infinitely less fun.
Yeah, let's just tackle the one big thing.
The Supreme Court as a whole being fucking horrible.
Yeah, let's just tackle that one thing this week, because let's be honest here, that conversation could span an hour, and I don't want to talk about that for an hour, literally while I was on hiatus during COVID and my lack of touching grass.
Yeah.
I was borderline, like, pulling my hair out for that.
Fair. Well, let's have at least some ray of hope first. Both R. Kelly and Ghislaine Maxwell were both convicted and sent to prison for 30 years for their pedophilic.
I thought Ghislaine Maxwell was 20 years.
I thought it was 30. I thought they both got 30. Mind you, they're not related. The only relation the two have is that they're both monstrous pedophiles.
Either way, none of those sentences are long enough, especially for Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, and Robert... God, it's so weird to call him Robert Kelly. R. Kelly, we've all known he's been a pedophile for a long time, and it's finally good that he's finally being put behind bars. Especially as someone in the black community, it was contentious for a long time about R. Kelly being a pedophile, with a lot of slut-shaming and victim-blaming going around, because R. Kelly is, a massively famous and talented R&B singer. So in the black community, I know it was especially controversial especially with a lot of people saying that they're just that they, it's just people doing it for attention. And then there's the different aspects of, like there's a culture of not really respecting when black women talk about sexual assault, especially when black women are children, when they're girls and they talk about sexual assault, because black women are sexualized at younger ages than their white counterparts, and that leads to, in some cases, a more permissiveness of the sexual assault of black kids because they're treated as older as they actually are. And so that contributed to a perfect storm of controversy that was everything involving R. Kelly, where he raped and sexually assaulted numerous young girls. And it's finally time that he's gone behind bars, and that history will forever remember him as his monstrous pedophile and not anything else.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, for Ghislaine Maxwell, I mean, you'd have to be living under a rock to not know who Ghislaine Maxwell is. I mean, to be honest, you'd have to be living under a rock not to know who R. Kelly is. But Ghislaine Maxwell, you know her, Epstein's right-hand woman, serial pedophile and rapist in her own right, horrible person, deserves to go to prison for much longer. But my only thing about this is, who was on your client list, Ghislaine, and why have you not told us?
It's never coming out.
No, I think it will come out, but it'll just come out when it will affect the people the least. Think about all of the times we found out about people that were pedophiles, but we didn't find out until, like, long after their careers had, like, ended. Like Harvey Weinstein. We could have caught Harvey Weinstein far earlier for his crimes.
I don't know. Because of, like, the scope of what she did, it's a lot bigger, and we really haven't seen anything, because, like I said the first time we talked about her getting, like, put on trial, this literally is the crime of the century.
Yeah. But I do actually wonder, though, is it a lot bigger than we think it is in terms of her influence, or is it that there's just so many of those groups that we think they're all one?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So you think they're, like, they're not, like, the ringleader, they're just a leader of one of, like, the factions of them.
Yes. So, like, for example, because the more I've thought about it, the more I've wondered, like, I mean, like, celebrities and rich people, they obviously can run in similar circles, but for a lot of times they don't. So the idea that all of these celebrities and rich people were all under the same umbrella makes me question, is that really accurate and appropriate to say? Because the thing about these things is that sexual assault and rape and pedophilia are unfortunately common things that can be done by everyone. And I kind of feel I guess the proper word is the sensationalizing it of making it some gigantic wide cult that took over the planet type thing, instead of what it could be is just a group of powerful people doing these horrible things, but there's just other groups of powerful people doing it independently of them. That the world isn't like a movie where it's like they have a massive ring of millions, when it could be that they're just a specific group of powerful people doing this horrible thing. That's like my only thing about the client list thing is potentially, what if all the clients are just, people you don't know? Like powerful individuals, but not like the big celebrities like everyone's thinking. Because that's the real reason, to be very cynical, that's the real reason people want to know the client list. They want to know the client list because they want to see all the big names that could be on it for the spectacle.
Fair.
I'm not saying like you do, but you know what I mean?
I understand. Because
especially in this country,
this trial has been sensationalized. It has been.
Which it should be. But you also know the types of people, especially in American culture, especially with the advent of QAnon and such, have alternative reasonings for wanting to know about pedophile syndicates. And not necessarily because they want to know and put these people to justice, but because it's more of a political win, per se, of who was on that list and how many people from which side is on that list. Because you can see it with how people constantly will talk about Donald Trump knew Epstein, but then they'll say Bill Clinton knew Epstein. Or vice versa. Where it's kind of like a partisan, like, pissing match at each other. Like, your guy is just as bad as our guy, and there's just no way that... Like, you know what I'm talking about?
I guess.
And so that's why I'm wondering if the client list is even that big. If it's even that big, it's even that sensational. What if it's just all just different groups of people doing the same horrible things, just like how all forms of abuse are usually done by disparate groups of people with no relation to each other, but all having similar characteristics in the fact that they're abusers.
You might be getting at something. Maybe not to the same extreme, but you might be getting somewhere with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm fully on board, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, that's my whole thing about the client list thing, is that I want it to come out because, like, obviously I want these people to be brought for justice, but I always got the sense that some people wanted it to come out so they can use it as a cudgel to beat the other side.
Yeah, that's kind of inherent with these whole things, isn't it?
Yeah, especially with how, with the perfect storm of QAnon and all of its pedophilic accusations since the Pizzagate era, and how it became so popular that it actively hindered real-life investigations of child and just human sex trafficking, that I've always wondered, like, do people actually care, or is this just another tool?
Yeah.
Just some food for thought.
I don't know.
Anyways, so...
Like, I feel like people
yeah.
on our side, like, do want to see actual justice.
Oh, yeah, no.
I think you are right about how, like, people, like, want to use this as, like, a tool for, like, political gain.
Yeah, I mean, and you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, right-wing figures, because, as you know, they are the ones constantly saying X person, Y person to pedophile, meanwhile, they have a whole bunch of Roy Moores in their party, and they just pat them on the back.
Yeah.
Anyways, do you want to get to the Supreme Court now?
It's kind of the last and only thing I want to talk about, because I need to get this out of the way, because this is going to stress me out.
Yeah, so, the first case that was of note that came out was the biggest one, which was the Roe v. Wade overturning.
And I am upset because COVID prohibited me from protesting.
Yeah. It is a gross revocation of our civil rights. One of the worst revocations of our civil rights within the common era of the past 50 years.
Yeah.
And what it does is it opens the door for so many horrifying things.
Because
to
pretty
come
much
forth.
The premise of this whole thing was that back 50 years ago, when the Supreme Court codified Roe v. Wade, they used the right to privacy as a method to make their decisions back then.
Yeah.
And their arguments nowadays is that the right to privacy is not a strong enough justification to codify Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
Which now opens the way for a lot of things because of the fact that so many decisions have been made to the right to privacy.
Exactly.
A la the decisions for contraception, for sodomy, for gay marriage, and interracial marriage.
And, yeah, and in fact, 3 of those were named in Clarence Thomas's concurring opinion.
Yep, he listed that he wants to go after those next, and that's why he is first on a lot of people's target list.
Not just that, but he also, because he didn't recuse himself during the investigation that was going to inevitably probe into his wife. He didn't recuse himself despite knowing this information.
When you hear people chanting in protest, they say, this is his fault.
Yeah.
He did this.
And
mind you, he's a single person on the Supreme Court among many who voted alongside him. But let's just face it. He's the face of this decision.
Yes, he's been the face of this decision. And
yeah.
part of me is like, it is kind of funny that the one that they put in front of it is a black man, but knowing who Clarence Thomas is and knowing how much of a spiteful individual, it couldn't have been anyone else.
Yeah.
He said that, did you hear him say about what liberals did? Said that liberals ruined his life for 43 years, so he's going to make the next 43 years of liberals' lives hell.
Oh, that sounds right for a despicable human being like him.
Yeah, and the worst part is he blames liberals for the racism and discrimination that he experienced while growing up and made him conservative. To which I just... You know, sometimes when you're playing Roblox and you put people like on a wall, like you line them up against a brick wall, and then you throw rocks at them and they make them go oof. Like, I feel like Clarence Thomas would be one of the players that would get tricked into sitting by a wall in Roblox.
Okay. That was quite the analogy.
There are so many things I want to say. But I, one, do not want to get demonetized, nor do I want to get deplatformed, nor do I want the federal government looking into my life more so than they already have to.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But that wasn't the end of it with Roe v. Wade. There were other revocations that came following suit, such as the separation of church of state, and the neutering of the EPA and other governmental organizations, and the, what was it? The ruling that made North Carolina's racist map legal and unable to be changed by the state judiciary.
Yeah. So I want to dive into specifics of the EPA.
Yes.
So their whole thing was unconsidering carbon dioxide as a pollutant of causing climate change.
Yeah, the main thing was that they basically wanted the EPA to not have enough power to challenge private entities about their carbon dioxide emissions and its contribution to climate change.
Yeah. Which, oh god. Oh, we are making the world look more like hell every day. Yes,
this specific Supreme Court case has global ramifications because American companies are one of the worst companies alongside China in terms of producing harmful greenhouse gases that could contribute to climate change. And if you remember, it was American corporations that hid the existence of climate change for years. So if we're getting them off the hook, because, already the restrictions on corporations are lax as it is. A lot of the times, the things that they have to pay for whenever they, fuck up the environment is they have to pay fines. And the fines are infinitely smaller than any amount of profit they make.
Yeah.
So...
just a lot of things that... And all of this happened under a Democratic lead. Republicans have been able to accomplish everything that they've wanted over the past month while under Biden.
Yeah. But on some levels, it's a little bit disingenuous to just say it's done it under Biden. The real reason this is happening is because Trump won.
Yeah. Well, let's go back even further. How do you feel about the accusations of laying this on the feet of Obama?
So I understand that completely, and I think this is something that a lot of people forgot, but this is Obama's fault for one simple reason. Obama said he could codify it, but he didn't. And you want to know the reason why? Obama doesn't like abortion. In fact, there are a lot of people on the Dems that don't like abortion. And the reason being is that despite the fact that they may not be openly or outwardly Christian, Christianity and its values have a stranglehold on our political agents. Yeah. And so...
Because, did you see his tweet for support about the revocation of the rights to abortion? And then directly under one of the top replies is literally a clip of him in 2007 and in 2009 saying that, respectively, that he will make codifying the right to abortion a legislative priority, and then saying that it's not one of his legislative priorities.
Yep.
Yep, that was a top reply on his message to the public, and
yeah, and I mean, this is something that I mean, some would say that it's unfair, but I think it is perfectly fair because of the fact that, you know, just like how he didn't pressure Ruth Bader Ginsburg to retire when she had the chance, Obama, for all the good that he did in terms of getting this country better economically, there were a lot of issues in the background that he was constantly dragging his feet on, and you could always tell it wasn't because of any type of, you know, backlash he was getting from, like, the Republicans, but more so because he personally didn't believe in doing that. Yeah. Like, he personally doesn't like abortion. And so I imagine that definitely contributed into why he didn't put abortion as a high priority.
Yeah, which we're seeing the consequences of now.
Yeah,
likely for the next 40 years.
In my opinion, he does deserve some type of blame. But obviously, the main blame should be held at the feet of, first of all, the Supreme Court justices that even made this decision, and then Donald Trump, because he put in these judges with the express knowledge that they would revoke it if given the chance.
Now, how do you feel about the calls for impeachment about
Clarence Thomas?
Or not just Clarence Thomas, just the Republicans lying on the on their appointments?
I believe that impeachments are absolutely valid. They should be going through, but unfortunately, the Democrats are passive as shit and would never go for it.
Yeah. So, my thing is that, because I've heard one point be brought up that you can't charge them based on their opinions that they've stated when they get appointed, because their opinions could change over time. What do you feel about the validity of that?
So, for me,
like, I don't fully subscribe to it, but it is something I see pop up.
For me, I can kind of subscribe to that because, in my opinion, the reason that they should be impeached is predicated on them lying on completely different things.
Because that's the reason I see a lot of people trying to impeach them. I'm like, we got stronger reasons than that.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the reason we should subscribe to impeaching them.
Yeah.
There are stronger things there. We've got him recusing. We got Clarence Thomas refusing to recuse himself from the investigations into his wife.
Yeah. We have both Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh lying at different points while they were under oath to Congress.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know what the fuck Neil Gorsuch has done, but he's probably done some shit.
Yeah. We just need to get the big three out, because, well...
Yeah. The other thing is that the Democrats also just won't do things such as, you know, what was I going to say? They won't do things such as, just appoint more judges. In my opinion, we should have 13 judges, because we should have one judge in accordance to how many circuit courts we have, which are 13. So in my opinion, we should have had 13. And I think that Biden should just do it.
Yeah.
But he's not going to do it.
Yeah. But I'll end it with this, because there is some positivity, and I do want to end the episode on a little bit of positivity, so I will...
Wait, before we get to that, do you want to talk about the voting lines?
You'd have to remind me on what we're talking about on those.
So North Carolina had a very, very racist redistricting, which basically the way they redistrict the entire state basically made it so that black communities were expressly targeted to have the least representation.
Oh, okay.
And it was stopped by the state legislature because they were like, not the state legislature, it was stopped by the state judiciary, who were like, no, this is fucking racist. And they appealed it all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court overturned the judiciary, so now they're allowed to do it. Basically meaning that the state judiciary can no longer stop the legislative branch from putting through potentially unconstitutional and harmful redistricting, which is going to be imperative for Republican dominance in their red states. I believe they also made it so that, what is it? They made it possible that basically the judiciary can't stop the legislature from potentially challenging the results of an election, which could basically mean that Republicans can technically stop their own losses.
Okay, now I desperately need to talk about the positives here.
Yeah. We talked about the EPA. So I just want to make sure we hit everything. We talked about EPA, we talked about voting redistricting, we talked about Roe v. Wade. There was the religion.
Oh, man. Oh, God.
Basically, the line between church and state has been further torn down.
Because the ruling that was done was, like, funding can now be distributed to religious private schools, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, now meaning that, it'll be even more easy to disenfranchise public schooling to make it so that people will go to private Christian schools so they can learn more private Christian dogma, as opposed to what would be a secular and potentially more accurate and unbiased education that they'd get at public schools.
Yeah. Okay. Now, with all that out of the way, I need this. Let me have this.
Go for it.
I will say, of the protesting that I've seen out in public, I will say a lot of young people they're getting on board with the fact that people in legislation are way too goddamn old. And I see a lot of people, like, just expressing that out in public, and that fills me with a lot of joy.
Yeah.
Mind you, these are protesters, so these are probably not representative of the populace as a whole. Just probably the most informed of the populace.
Yeah.
But it's still refreshing to see that, because that means that people are out there getting involved. And also, hopefully willing to fight the corrupt money that goes into funding candidates. Because remember the primary in Texas, Cisneros versus Guerrero?
You gotta remind me of that one.
So the person in the House of Representatives, the one anti-abortion Democrat.
Yeah.
I think it's Anthony Cuellar.
Yeah. His
progressive opponent, Jessica Cisneros, was like less than 3 percentage points away from him.
But she lost?
She lost this time.
Damn.
She lost for a second time in a row, unfortunately. She was much closer this time.
Yeah.
Actually, let me... yeah, I'll skip pulling that up for now, but it was very close.
That's good. So, I actually wanted to talk about
because, remember, he is one of the biggest anti-abortion Democrats in the House.
Yeah.
So...
He's from Texas, so...
And he's a Texan, so... And imagine, like, coming up that close to... Because you also have to consider that Pelosi was actually...
which makes
or
sense.
She recorded a recorded message to send out to help phone banking for him, more specifically.
Yeah.
Or more accurately, I should say. But yeah, despite the fact that, he had a lot of backing from establishment Dems, progressives getting that close is still really good news.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to talk about that really briefly, because I actually had this discussion with my mom recently when we talked about, we were talking about, like, do you think do you think the country is getting overall more unsafe for people like us? And, by us, we talk about minorities. And so I told her that on some level I feel yes, but on another level I don't feel so. And I think the reason being is that there are more people that are like us and side with us and our values than there are people that side against us. The problem is that we just don't have a unifying, galvanizing force like we did when the Democrats were able to, just scream Trump bad from the rooftops. As much as people memed and joked about it, how they constantly were on the air talking about Trump bad all the time, that worked.
Yeah,
it got enough people within the public zeitgeist to think, maybe Trump is bad. Maybe, like, he's just really, like, messing things up and stuff like that. But now we don't have that.
Because, unfortunately, like, Biden's approval ratings are so low, even among Democrats, that, let's just face it, people don't want him to run again. And the fact that he might, or that Kamala Harris will run in place of him, is very bad news.
Yeah, and it's bad because the main issue is that it shouldn't be this way. It should be that the Democrats could have pressed their advantage because they were given something at the start of this administration that pretty much could have secured Democrat dominance for 2 decades. January 6th. If they were a competent political organization and party, January 6th would be blasted 24/7 like 9/11 was blasted 24/7. Like, it should have culturally demolished any footholds the Republican Party had. What's happening now with the January 6th Commission would have happened sooner, and we would be seeing more people in fucking prison. And as a result, the Democrats would have been able to, really push the advantage that the people want. Because here's the thing. I feel there are more people out there that would like to see the things that we want as leftists, but the Democrats don't tap into it, so people don't think about it and make it known, and so they stay quiet, and because they stay quiet, you don't hear them, meaning that the ones that are vocal are louder, and thus you feel that, there's less of us. Yeah. And I feel it really comes down to the fact that the Democrats have been doing a very terrible job at galvanizing the public to be excited about their, not policies, because I don't believe they're actually excited about policies, but getting excited to be politically active about something.
Yeah,
the Republican Party do it nonstop. Republican Party do it when they're in power, and they do it when they're not in power. Democrats seem to do it up to the point where they get in power and then they rest on their laurels. I mean, I know we were pretty young, but you remember how hype people were when Obama was running for president. Like, people were fucking losing their minds.
Because back then, it was cool to vote for Obama.
Exactly. And then when Obama became president, like, yeah, he was there, and yeah, he was doing his job, but he wasn't inspiring the same, like, vigor that he had when he was on the campaign trail. But then he did it in 2012. But then after 2012, nothing. And by the time 2016 rolls around, he's not really doing anything to galvanize people. Like, for Hillary.
Like, imagine that we have a progressive candidate in any form of the executive branch. And, like, anybody that represents our values. Imagine they do something like a landmark decision that ultimately, like, accelerates civil rights, like, several years forward. Imagine the parades people would throw.
Exactly. But,
like, imagine the cultural impact something like that could have.
Yeah, but the thing is that we don't even need to get that. The Democrats are just bad at marketing their intent to win. Do you know what they do? Republicans get their base hyped about things they want to do, not even things they have done, things that they want to do, maybe not even things they have plans that they could feasibly do, but they get them hyped about it. Democrats could do that, but they don't. And I think that really goes to a detriment in making us feel that we are more alone than we actually are. Because you have to remember, with the revocation of Roe v. Wade, most people don't like it. 2/3 of the country believe that Roe v. Wade should have been codified. I imagine that significant majorities of the country want anti-sodomy laws to stay gone. They want gay marriage to still be allowed. They want interracial marriage to still be allowed. They would like the EPA to have control over corporations that are harming us environmentally. They would want to make sure that, schools stay segregated because of religion, stay segregated from religion. But the Democrats don't push it, so people don't talk about it.
Yeah. And one last bit of news to round out the end of the day.
Yeah.
Ketanji Brown Jackson officially sworn in.
First black woman on the Supreme Court. Hopefully one of many, but most likely, I will. Most likely, will not see another one in my lifetime.
Probably not, but remember, we do have other groups that do need to be represented as well.
Exists. Yes.
Like, hopefully, sometime in our lifetime, we get our first trans person at all in Congress.
Oh, we did.
Oh, wait. No, wait. Didn't we have someone in Biden's cabinet?
Yeah.
That's right. We have someone in his cabinet.
Yeah. No, we have trans people in our government. They're just not in the judiciary.
Yeah.
That we know of.
They can always come out.
It's never too late to come out as trans. So, yeah, well, it's good. At least we can celebrate the fact that despite all of this that is going on, think change can still happen.
Yeah. We can always ring the alarm bells for fascism, but let's face it here, we have a culturally progressive climate here.
Exactly. And while a lot of us see the...
think about it like this. Remember back to rainbow capitalism. We hate it. It sucks. It's despicable. It's manipulative. But it is still a signature of the fact that our culture is changing.
Not just that our culture is changing, but our perspective is one worth fighting for and one that is seen as correct.
And
or right.
More properly, that is profitable.
Yes. Because here's the thing. If leftism becomes profitable, you know they ain't ever turning back.
Yeah.
But
but to go back on no, I'll just leave that out. It's more negative.
Okay. But I think with that we have finally finished our season 3 opener, our mega recap of everything that we have missed during our hiatus thanks to COVID. But we are back. Just know that we love doing this. It's really fun. It's a good outlet for us. And it's also just good to talk about these things because it may seem like things are getting worse all the time. And it may feel like it. But there's always a chance for it to get better and change, and you can be part of that change.
Yeah. Ultimately, honestly, the only thing keeping me, positive is the fact that, oh, look, people are out protesting and expressing how they feel.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is not a worthy trade at all.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just gotta look at the silver lining in the dark clouds.
Yeah. One thing that at least helps me is reminding myself that this is not the end of history. We are not at the end of history. So whatever we do still matters. Whatever we do will still have influences for decades, if not centuries down the line. We cannot act like this is the end, because it is not. This is not the end of history. This is maybe a phase in history, but it is not the end, and we still can change things. And that's something that's definitely helped me mentally with all of these things, is remembering that this isn't the end of history.
Yeah, and also remember to please touch grass. Not being able to touch grass during COVID really hurt me.
Yeah, he was dying not being able to touch grass. I thankfully was able to touch grass a couple times.
Literally, it was like, oh my god, I'm literally not feeling good. My mental health actually feels bad. And then I step outside and I'm like, oh, it was just a phase.
Yeah. I'm going to go touch grass tomorrow. But before that, I am going to play some Star Wars Empire at War. It's really fun.
You've been obsessed with that game.
It's really fun, bro. It's really fun. Anyways, thank you all for joining us for a mega episode. This is the season 3 premiere. Just really glad to be back and to have all you guys. And don't forget to comment, subscribe, follow on all of our social media. If you really want to support us, you can donate to us on Patreon, and I believe you can also support us on Anchor. I have been your host, Shiny.
I've been Sovereign, and one last thing. I think we'll be making a tradition of splitting up our seasons every half year. I think
that will work.
That works out perfectly, so that we don't have episodes in the 50 count every season.
Exactly. So probably season 4 will debut sometime in January then.
Yep.
Okay. Hope you guys have a good one.
We're signing out for the night.